Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? We are gearing up for the Super Bowl, but that's still a week and a half away. Be right back. I was going to eat something, and I'm going to save it for later. How's everybody today? Well, I got a text from Jenna from the Ukraine. She's okay. She was shitting in her pants. There was a ballistic missile that was in the air near her. They shot it down, and then I guess that was it. So she's like, okay, I'm better. That's the problem. You worry about her, but she's okay. Anyway, we will meet soon. What else? Had a mouse in the apartment yesterday. At 11:30, I'm going to sleep, watching TV, and I see something move. I catch it out of the corner of my eye. It's a fucking mouse. He goes into the bedroom, and I think I got it sealed where he's cornered near the edge of the bed. One edge goes on the wall. The other edge is about this far from the wall, and that's where he went. I figure, okay, I got him. I put towels there to kind of trap him, and then I sprayed him with tub and tile cleaner. I said, well, that'll kill anybody. And then I kept hearing noises, so I went to a hotel to sleep last night. And then I call up maintenance here. I'm in an apartment, and maintenance. They said, we'll just set a trap. I says, I don't know how to do that shit. I'm the professor. I don't go there. And so they met me, and we went into the bedroom, and there was no mouse. So I looked in the closet, in the laundry room, in the kitchen, in the cabinets. We can't find the mouse. He says, well, there's no real problem because everybody would be calling, but you're the only one calling. And then he must have come from the outside because where he was, he came in by the TV. The kitchen's over here. The TV's back there. All they thought is he came in out of the cold and he snuck out. That's probably what I heard at 3 a.m. And I can't find him anywhere. We looked everywhere. He's clearly not in the bedroom. The other rooms, the doors were closed, which apparently doesn't bother him because I had the door to the bedroom closed. And he apparently had no problem getting out. I was shocked when he wasn't by the bed. I thought I had gotten him with the cleaner. But anyway, so he's not here. So I assume he's not here. I mean, it was a little mouse. It wasn't a rat or anything. And I assume he came in from the cold because when I saw him, he came in. It was from the door. So if anything, that's where he is. And I'm busy like grabbing any food that might have hit the ground. Like when I eat, like now I'm like under the table going, okay, no, I don't see anything. No General Chow, Bobby. So anyway, so apparently he's gone. And I wasn't going to sleep in my bed yesterday. And then when I heard the noises, I just said, fuck it, I'll go to a hotel. So I spent the night at a hotel. What the hell? Anyway, so that's what's going on. So we look at football. What is the spread? Apparently it was, Phillies 1.5, 49.5. Apparently it opened at KC minus 1.5. And it's been bet all the way to Philly minus 1.5. So a lot of Philly actions. Although I don't see an opening line of 1.5. I see Philly has always been the opening 1.5. I don't see any injuries that are, Mahomes mysteriously is all healed from a broke foot in a week. Oh, okay. So 1.5. Philly's the 8 team. KC's more of an over team. I want to go through their schedule, and it's just so let's go through Philly's schedule first. So what I'm looking for is a Mahomes type of team that he played quarterback. How did they play them? And I go through their school from the bottom up. So they beat Frisco with no quarterback, the Giants with no quarterback. New Orleans, Andy Dalton, 20-10. Dallas, Arizona, Murray, okay. Jacksonville, no quarterback. Washington, again, no quarterback. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, no quarterback. In Detroit. And Detroit's week 1, so you really don't count it. So, okay, they gave up 35 to Detroit, 21 to Jacksonville somehow, and 32 to Washington, which makes no sense, 33 to Green Bay. And that's so it shows how weak a schedule they had. I mean, I don't consider Dallas a great team, but they're a playoff team. Giants 3 times. The Niners, they get without a quarterback. He gets hurt. So Dallas puts up a 40 on them. Aaron Rodgers, now that's the game I like. I'm really looking at 40-33. Washington, I ignore it. They don't have a quarterback. And Jacksonville, 20. They don't have a quarterback. And then Detroit, the opening week. Okay, so I don't count the opening couple, 2-3 weeks, which would put the Detroit game, the mini, and the Washington game, and then Jacksonville. So they had a very easy schedule. Are they that good? So when I look at the Mahomes matchup in this game, I'm looking at Detroit 35, Kirk Cousins 7. Well, that's about what you expect. Trevor Lawrence gets 21. Murray 17. Pitt nothing, 13. Houston 17. Washington gets 32. What the hell happened there? Green Bay. Now, that's really the game. So let's go into the details of the Green Bay game. Aaron Rodgers, 11 of 16, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And Jordan Love plays 6 of 9 for 100 yards. Rushing, Dillon 64, Jones 43 for Green Bay. I'm in Green Bay, and then Watson 4 for 110, Jones 3, Dillon, Cobb, Lazard, Tunyon. So they don't even have their full complements. Philly's box score, Hurts 16 of 28, 2 touchdowns. So he has a pretty good game. They win at 40 so they are up 27-20 at halftime. So it was a 14-13 first quarter for Green Bay. Green Bay gets 10 in the fourth. Rushing, Hurts 17 for 157. Sanders 21 for 143. So they run it down their throats. 2 touchdowns for Sanders, 1 for Gainwell. Gotta love that Gainwell. Little snack cookie. Receiving, Sanders 3, Gainwell, Watkins, Brown, Devontae Smith, and the touchdowns went to Watkins and Brown. That's the box score. This is plays. Green Bay threw an interception for a touchdown. Philly gets another touchdown. A pretty big kickoff return. Aaron Jones runs for a 30-yard gain and then a touchdown by Dillon. Hi, bye. What does that mean? Hi, bye. Oh, okay. Well, that's a different way to spell professor, B-H-A-I. That's funny. Hello, Greg and John. So Green Bay turnover. Philly turns it over on downs. 3 plays, 9 yards. And the great what do we got? Sanders run to the left for 7 yards. Green Bay kicked off, both got 20 yards. So where the fuck are they? That he returns at 20. So let's say they got the ball at the 25, and then a 7-yard run to the 32 and a 2-yard run to the 34. Hurst rushed it up the middle for no gain and then fumbled. So you're not, again with the bullshit 4th down crap, which you're not going to see in a Super Bowl. So they ran it pretty good on them. I'm not sure what Green Bay was able to do. But he really didn't. So they get a touchdown, mostly running it. Rodgers had kind of a weak day. I mean, Rodgers is, I don't see him really lighting him up. 11 of 16 for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jordan Love plays 6 of 9. So is that good enough to say, well, look how they did against Aaron Rodgers. This is what they're going to do against Mahomes. And Aaron Rodgers didn't do a whole lot. So again, Philly, we look at, really didn't play anybody. I mean, this is just wild. I mean, look at the schedule. It's ridiculous. Minnesota 24-7. Washington, Jacksonville, they beat Dallas with Cooper Rush. Pittsburgh, Houston, Washington, Indy, Green Bay, who had sucked at the time. Tennessee, okay, good win against Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback. And then the Giants, the Bears, the Giants, New Orleans, and then Dallas beats them 40-34. So they do give up 40 points. The thought I'm making is they didn't play anybody. Right? They played the Giants, who doesn't have a quarterback, and then they played the Niners with the 4th-string quarterback. So what has Philly showed us in the playoffs? Are they really this dominant? This is where you peel it and try to get to the bottom of, is Philly's defense this good, or the fact that they haven't played a good quarterback? Then they play Aaron Rodgers, he gets 33 on them. They play Trevor Lawrence, he gets 21. The Lions get 35, and they had a pretty good offense, but it was week 1. That doesn't count. And then Dallas puts up 40-34, where I know they got some turnovers because they had the backup quarterback in. So it's, again, what did the 40 for Dallas? Well, let's go into the Dallas game. Prescott's not really that good, but let's look what happened. Prescott is 27 of 35, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Rushing, Prescott 6 for 41, Elliott 16 for 55, Pollard 9 for 19, touchdown for Elliott. Receiving, Lamb 11 targets, 10 for 120, 2 touchdowns. Elliott 1 for 6, Gallup 4 for 36, Pollard 6 for 61, Schultz 3 for 43. Philly against a good quarterback didn't do anything, did they? I mean, this is Prescott, who's not even a good one. So then we get to the Kansas City, and let's see their schedule. Brother in India. Okay, I like that. You're learning Indian. Are you learning bow and arrow, or are you learning gold and dot, as in India? I go in Indian game. Oh, okay. Indian gaming streams. Do you play video games? At the casino, I'll play video blackjack. That's about it. Because I can play my streak and get the fuck out because I know it's all fixed because it's all, computer programmed. And now the way the computer programmers are, you're in big trouble if you stay more than 10 minutes. But I do play a little. My brother plays a lot of video poker. I think he cheats because he always seems to win a lot. And you're like, how the fuck can you do that? Philly is the better defense, but they haven't played many good teams. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So against those defenses, but I'm pointing out, Green Bay got 33, Dallas got 40, and Detroit got 35. The only team that had an offense they stopped was Minnesota, but that's Kirk Cousins. So, yes, it's very difficult to read the first 2 playoff games and say, oh, good, look how good Philly is. Now, one thing I know is Mahomes is a very strong underdog. Now, I'm going to compare – you guys are probably going to get upset. I'm comparing Mahomes to, let's say, Ric Flair. He's not really hurt, but he looks hurt. He limps around. He's like, oh, no, don't hit me. Oh, I'm hurt. I'm dead. I'm dead. And then he comes on and figure fours the guy. I'm almost beginning to think Mahomes faked the whole thing because that run at the end, not only did he run, so he wasn't injured, but he also dove, which, if you believe me, my ankle was hurting me. It was swollen. Maybe it was gout, maybe it was an injury. Who knows? There's no fucking way I'm running on it. There's no fucking way I'm diving on it. And there's no fucking way that if you break your bone in your foot, you get high ankle sprain, supposedly that he has, there's no fucking way he's making that run at the end. So I'm beginning to think this is WWE or WWF, and he's Ric Flair. He's going around wooing. He's going around, I'm injured. He's not even on the injured list. He wasn't on the injured list Saturday or Sunday. I don't believe he's injured. I believe he's doing a wrestling. I think he's limping around like he's going to get hit by a chair. Somebody will put him in a figure four, and he'll break the hold, and then he'll get suplexed, and The Rock will come out of the crowd and give him the people's elbow. I was watching that a little bit yesterday. I hope the game isn't like that, Tampa versus KC Super Bowl. No, it's not going to be like that at all. Now, we've got to check the receivers injured, but they got 2 weeks. Believe me, you're going to play a Super Bowl. They've got Valdez, Scantling, and Kelsey. I'm sure one of the other guys will be okay, so they'll play. But that's really the key. So they'll play with more tight ends. Again, Cincinnati didn't pressure him enough. I would have sent 5 and 6 guys if he's really injured. Maybe they knew he was faking. And, we don't really know what Philly is. We don't know what KC beat a good Cincinnati team. They kind of were in control, like 3-0, 6-0, 6-3, 13-3, 13-13, 20-13. And the play Cincinnati had to make, the catch by Chase at the 5-yard line on 4th and 1. Then they get the pushing touchdown, which I hate. And the other touchdown, they made it 13-all. I don't remember that one. That was a good play. But Cincy almost gets like miracle plays to score their touchdowns. And the question is really Philly running the ball down their throat. So let's take a look at KC, and let's see who they play that would be similar to Philadelphia. And we look at KC's schedule, and I'm going to go from the bottom up. So, okay, they beat Cincinnati 23-20, good win. Beat Jacksonville 27-20, beat Oakland. And as you see, Aaron Rodgers might be going there, as I said he might, because he's got Devontae Adams. So he's going to go where he's comfortable. Was that Brady or Rodgers? I don't remember anymore. They beat Denver 27-24, which is a bad win, but Russell Wilson lights him up. So Russell Wilson's very similar to Hurts, but they still get 27. They beat Seattle 24-10, which doesn't make sense. It's low scoring. Then Houston 30-24. Then Denver again 34-20. They played 2 high-scoring games with Denver. Jesus Christ. Since he beats them 27-24. They beat the Rams 26-10. They beat San Diego 30-27. Jacksonville 27-17. So they beat them 27-20 and 27-17. They beat Tennessee 2017. Now here's a very good win is San Francisco 44-23. They lose to Buffalo 24-20. They beat Oakland 30-29. They killed Tampa 41-31, but Brady does light them up. They lose to Indy. That's a fixed game. They beat San Diego 27. How do you score 27-24 San Diego and you lose to Indy 20-17? And they beat Arizona 44-21 in week 1. So defensive teams, San Diego's not bad. Buffalo at the time, they would have had Von Miller. So they lose 24-20. They beat Frisco. We know how good their team was, 44-23. Tennessee, 2017, much like Philly. Jacksonville, no. San Diego, decent defense, 30-27. Rams, Aaron Donald. Cincinnati, they lose 27-24. So the thing I'm noticing here So let's look at a running team. Seattle, they beat them 24-10. Denver kind of runs if they have Melvin Gordon and Russell Wilson. Oakland can run 31-13. Cincinnati doesn't really or didn't run enough. Frisco, now they run this. That's the impressive game. KC 44, Frisco 23. And the loss to Buffalo, who, at the time with Von Miller probably has a similar defense to Philly. So is Philly's defense that strong? Now, KC does play they play Tampa Bay, Oakland twice, San Diego twice, Buffalo, Tennessee, the Rams, Cincinnati twice, Denver twice, and then Seattle, who's explosive, 24-10. The best defensive team you got here. I mean, Buffalo theoretically is an 18. That's similar to Philadelphia, and they 24-20. Buffalo wins with Allen. A running quarterback. I don't know if Frisco does. Arizona, they caught them and beat them 44-21 the first week. That doesn't count. But they did see, whatchamacallit, Murray. San Diego, Herbert can run. Tampa ain't running. Oakland, nobody. Buffalo, of course. Allen's got to be similar to Hurts. They lost 24-20. Frisco, we know, can run, but they didn't have McCaffrey back then. Tennessee, you got Henry. San Diego again. Eckler, the Rams, no. Cincinnati, not a running team. Denver, depends if Melvin Gordon's there. Houston, we're trying to figure out if they have any pros on their team. Seattle can run with Walker, 24-10. Oakland, 31-13. They have that one running back. And then in the playoffs, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. So looking at that mess, two things pop out at me. KC had a very tough schedule, and the only game they really lost was Buffalo and Cincinnati. And the Indy game you can't explain. But the big games, the Buffalo and the Cincinnati, they lost by 3, and then they get Cincy back here with the fixed game. The bullshit, the dive by Mahomes, who's supposedly hurt. He dives because the guy touches him. And is that a personal foul if you put your hand on the guy because he steps out of bounds? I don't know if that's a personal foul. Knocking him down would be, but you didn't knock him down. He dove. So that's really the question. If I put my hand on the guy's jersey, give him a little nudge, is that a personal foul? I don't think it is. You'll see that happen all the time. The play will be over. The guy runs, the play's over. And I'm sure if somebody comes in and gives him a little love tap, and it's never a personal foul. So I don't know what the fuck. Pro Bowl, flag football, seriously? I take Georgia. I don't. What do you do with flag football? I do not do things that I have no idea. I would not. I would be embarrassed to pick it. And I don't want to see you lose money. So no, I'm not doing the flag football game. Since he had that bogus penalty, they had on the punt return 2 minutes before this field goal, there was one block in the back and one hold. The guy goes like this as the guy's landing, and no call. They just let the guy run, and everything was no calls. Bull roughing there. Then he's holding on the play he runs. There's holding. So it would have been offsetting it at worst. But the guy gets tackled. The play before that, the guy gets tackled. So apparently it's okay if Kansas City tackles the Cincinnati defensive lineman. That's not holding. But when Cincinnati kind of grabs the collar, that's holding. That's Tony Romo for you. What a freaking idiot that guy is. So there's a lot of miss that. They roughed Burrow twice. The big guy fell on him, Neil Smith or whoever this guy is, Chris Jones. He falls on him, which you're not supposed to do. He hurt his wrist on one play because he falls on it. No roughing the passer. That's twice they roughed him. Earlier in the game, he's yelling at the ref, "What the fuck was that?" And then near the end there, he gets roughed before they punt. It's a stupid punt. Why didn't he punt it out of bounds? There's no time left. Just punt the fucking ball out of bounds so you don't have the return and don't have to rely on the ref. So I blame the coach to not punt the ball out of bounds or a real high punt. Don't just get it out. There's no time. If they don't get the stupid penalty, there's nothing they're going to do. But Cincinnati got totally, royally screwed. Every time they ran the ball, the mark was always moved back 2 yards. He gets to 45. Well, they get the ball to 43. What the fuck? He dove. He clearly dives to the 43. No. We're moving it back to the 45. What the fuck kind of roughing was it? It was like, well, his knee hit back. No. The ball, he's stretched out. And then they give him, the guy stretches the ball. You can't reverse that call. There's no way that was a first down. Oh, there's a line on the TV, but the angle was not straight down the line. The angle was this way. So it looks like you can't prove anything. That was a terrible reversal. They never reversed where they put the call. The ref's right there. If the ref's calling it, he maybe called the play dead. But they're saying, look, he reached out. Yeah, but the ref already had, no, this is where he's at. The ref clearly saw him reach out, but didn't give him the reach. So what the fuck's going on? KC, much tougher schedule. I do not see them getting blown out like at first thought. I think if Philly plays that defense, they will beat up KC. I don't think so. You doing the Pro Bowl? No. Pro Bowl turned into a joke. It's not even – well, football is turning into a joke. You've got fixed games. You've got terrible refs that are biased on one team. You've got so many instant replays and all this other shit that's going on. It's really terrible. I mean, I don't understand what they're killing the game. I mean, I showed you that USC Notre Dame game. The refs miraculously put the ball where it goes. They called the penalties when they needed. They let the game go. And there was no reversals. There was no instant replay. It wasn't even there. Game looked fine to me. I don't think Notre Dame was crying because there was plays that were missed or the guy was out of bounds. I mean, now Anthony Davis takes the kickoff back 105 yards. It would have been, oh, wait a minute, did he step out of bounds? And you're like, and they're trying to add drama to it because the way the announcers are like, did he step out? Did he step? Oh, I think he stepped out. And he clearly didn't. And the announcers like, so they're trying to add drama like, fuck, these guys suck. And then you have, there's always penalties on everything. And then they're like, oh, no, it was defense offsides. Okay, enough with that. And then they'll call pass interference when he catches the ball to make it look like he made it was a good call, but the guy caught the ball. Now you call the penalty? You don't need the penalty when he catches the ball. You need it when he blocks him. Cincinnati did get the one call on that pass interference. That was clearly pass interference. He was there 2 seconds early. I'm shocked they actually called it. But just terrible roughing. And you can't have that. You need fair games. I don't care if I lose if it's fair. I don't like when I lose when it isn't. Now, we won anyway. This is why we tease it, because they fixed it so KC wins by 3, where they give them the field goal at the end, which was a joke. And then, but in the tease, so in a regular bet, you're laying 2. Then I saw those laterals at the end, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to get – why are they doing the lateral? Why didn't the guy just take the ball, take a knee, and let Burrow throw a bomb to Chase, who probably would have caught the fucking thing, and off you go. And then you even ask KC why they didn't run it down to 2 seconds. Just take a snap, throw it out of bounds, and now there's 3 seconds. Why would they want a kickoff? But if I'm Cincinnati, I'm running the kickback. What is the point of the lateral? And then the guy doesn't even know what he's doing. He tries lateraling when he's out of bounds. And it's like, dude, you don't even know what you're doing. Why are you doing the lateral play? That never worked. I just don't get it. It doesn't work. What's going on in the coach's mind? Like, oh, but we'll make it work. We've seen it 500 times. It's never worked. We'll make it work. How? Do you have 9 option quarterbacks out there in the kickoff? And they didn't. I mean, they had big guys out. It was like just really stupid. Let's throw the ball backwards. That'll really get us closer to the goal line. I mean, it's just so stupid. But fortunately, like the guy was going to go in with it. Like he gets it. Instead of the game being over and take a knee, he's trying to run it in like an idiot. So fortunately, the guy was out of bounds, and the ref obviously needed the under, not the over, so he called it. No, he's out of bounds. But even that, the guy tries to run it in because, what the fuck? Just take a knee. What are you doing, man? You've got the game. You're gonna fumble it. Rick Eisen said football is not fixed. What does Rick Eisen know? What does he think the calls were? I mean, Burrow gets nailed twice, no roughing the passer. You've got 2 penalties on the punt return, not called. You've got holding on the last 2 Kansas City plays, not called. What would you call it, Rick Eisen? What is it that you need to see to say it's not fixed? It's clearly fixed. The Mahomes took a dive, was so obvious. If he wanted to stay up, if you would have bet him like, okay, if you stay up and don't fall, you win the Super Bowl. He's not going to fall. The fact he was able to run, he's doing a Ric Flair. You're hurt. You have a high ankle sprain. You ain't running anywhere. What the fuck are you? Are you insane? It's not like you're at the 50. You were not kicking a field goal. What are you doing? So I never saw him really injured, just WWE injured, where you think the guy's dead and he's carried out, he's in there, and then he comes running back like, oh no, I'm fine. I was just acting. And that's what Mahomes did. I mean, he's not even on the injury list. How the fuck do you have a high ankle sprain, which takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal, and you're not even on the injury list? So it's a bullshit injury. Clearly he's not injured. He's 100%. So don't get fooled when you make your picks. Now, with 100% Mahomes and Kelsey, Valdez-Scantling, it's up to Philly running the ball, and we see against San Diego, who runs it well, but is one of the worst coach teams. The question's going to be Philly's sacking against Mahomes, but since he didn't blitz for some reason, and then are Philly going to run it down their throat? And then we see what Kansas City's schedule. Let's compare them to Buffalo. Philly and Buffalo, similar style, I guess. Running type of quarterback. They don't have the runners that Philly do. I guess the closest would be San Diego with that offense. They run Eckler, but, again, KC beat those teams. So I don't know that Philly with Hurts just lights it up and beats them by 30. I think that's the initial thought. But then when you look at the schedule, they haven't beaten anybody. They lost to fucking Dallas 40-34. I know Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. Hurts, he's probably not. He doesn't look hurt either. You can't count the Niner game because the quarterback gets hurt. You got the backup dropping snaps. I mean, what the fuck? This is the backup you get? This guy, you assume what? Nobody's going to get hurt in pro football? Come on. So, again, you blame the coach, but I would have just ran Army wishbone. Once that happened and you can't throw it, I take Purdy out. Every snap goes to either Samuel or McCaffrey. You put the other one back and you put some guards and you play. We're going to just play an option game and we're going to play a read option and go down the field, and you can't stop me. Because that was really Philly's weakness is running, but KC doesn't really run. So it's going to be, I don't know that you can really stop Kelsey and Mahomes. I mean, since he's got a great defense, you really couldn't stop him. They kind of did in the second half. Was 13-6 at half. They only got one touchdown, and then KC does what KC does. They kind of fold up. But part of it was Cincinnati started coming on, having some longer drives, getting them out and getting the touchdowns they needed. And then again, that's where I hold KC. So as I'm looking at this game, what's coming very clear is the over in the game. Because when Philly played Dallas, Detroit, except for the Minnesota game, which you can't count Cousins, against good quarterbacks, the Dallas 40-34, the Lion 38-35, but it's week one, and then the Packer 40-33 game. That's the one that really stands out, the Packer 40-33 game. That's a 70-point game. The Cowboy was a 40-34, was a 74-point game. And here you got Mahomes, who's not injured. And the receivers will play. It's 2 weeks. It's a Super Bowl. Believe me, they're all playing. They might not last, but they're all going to play. And this way you can make a – you can, is Juju Smith-Schuster playing? Is he hurt? He'll play. He's a Steeler guy. So in my mind, this is high scoring. And if this is high scoring, I like the dog. Philly does run it, and they will run it on KC. But KC, we like their defensive coordinator. We like the defensive coordinator regardless, who I'm struggling to think of. He was the Giant coach. What the fuck's his name? Anyway, I see him, and I just feel that what you're dealing with is I don't know that anybody can shut out Kansas City. Yes, Tampa did. Philly's got a strong defense, but so does Cincinnati and Buffalo. Okay, so let's look at Cincinnati. It's 23-20. KC's got their linemen. It's not like they're hurt. The receivers are a little bit banged, but they got Kelsey and Smith and Valdez-Scantling. All of us, he thinks Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback. And Mahomes, who apparently is not injured. And I just think the way they run the offense, it's kind of a bullshit offense. It's Kelsey, go find the soft spot, and I'm going to throw it to you. And they all play deep because of Mahomes, so he just has the guys sit down, and he throws it to them. Not much of an offense. Andy Reid, biggest choke coach ever in the history of coaches. He's up there with the Marv Levy from Buffalo and Bud Grant from Minnesota as the biggest choker. Only he's choked, 6 times with Philly and 4 times with Kansas City. So he gets 1 win. I love it. He gets 1 win because Frisco can't hold a 10-point lead, and everybody thinks he's a great coach. Not what I see. He got a lot out of Donovan McNabb, who Jimmy Johnson would have won with Donovan McNabb. And then you got Mahomes, where me and you could coach Mahomes and say, yeah, just keep throwing okay, guys, sit down, he'll throw the ball. Okay, that's all he does. You think Andy Reid isn't going to choke again? I think he definitely will choke again. He doesn't know how to win, but neither is Philly coach. Who the fuck's the Philly coach? So I can't bet the coach, but Andy Reid at least plays it close. So I'm leaning towards 7.5, 8 with Cam. I'm leaning towards the dog in this game. Philly is a good road favorite, and that's what you have here. This game's a neutral site, so both teams are road teams. KC's never a road dog, very, very rarely, so they don't really have stats that you can say, like Cincinnati was, 10-0 as a road dog. You don't really have that with KC because they're never a dog. So I think at the end of the day, all right, I mean, Philly beat the fucking Giants, and they beat the fucking Niners with the 4-string quarterback. So they haven't beaten anybody. And it's going to be very difficult. You see Mahomes, he just finds a way, gets the ball to count. They score a touchdown. So as long as Philly's going to blitz him, I think, but he reads the blitz. He gets rid of the ball. Cincy, I thought should have blitzed more. I think when they did blitz, they got to him, or they got pretty good. And then whatever they did in the second half, I think it was more Burrow taking charge and going on long drives. So KC didn't have the ball. They did score the 1 touchdown. And they did stop Cincy at the end when Cincy could have went down for the field goal. So now I'm questioning Burrow twice in the Super Bowl, and here he needed a field goal to tie the Super Bowl, and he needed a field goal for the win here. And you're kind of like, okay, Joe, you're supposed to do a Montana and go down and win the game. Or here you were supposed to, the game's tied at 20, you're supposed to go down and with 3 seconds left, kick your field goal. What happened? And again, he got the roughing they didn't call and just a bunch of shit. Morning, Phil. I wonder if Hurts will think about the last championship game he was in, which was a disaster in college, or if this is so much different, it won't affect him at all. I don't think you forget that. I still remember poker hands that I got one outed on in one hand. So I think it happens. I don't think you forget it. They're just going to, if they can't run the ball, they're going to be in trouble, but they are a very balanced offense. As I said, I do not think Mahomes is hurt. I think he's WWFing it. I think he's Jim the Anvil Neidhart. There's no way this guy's hurt. You do not do that with a high ankle sprain. Not only run out of bounds, and then dive. And he takes the dive. There's no way you do that with a high ankle sprain. I'm sorry. Maybe he has PTSD from getting benched and injured. What's PTSD? Pretty tough San Diego or what? The only reason he's any good is he went to Oklahoma where they taught him how to run, because that's what Oklahoma does. They send their receivers deep, and then they have a running quarterback who can run when everybody's, all he's got to do is get by the lineman. And that's what he does. That's what Oklahoma does. Williams does the same thing at USC as, who's the other one? Mayfield and Kyler Murray. I mean, Mayfield couldn't run, but Kyler Murray, all he does is run. They got a fast quarterback. They send everybody deep and post-traumatic stress syndrome or something disorder. Yeah. I'm sure it's in the back of his mind. And if he starts throwing some picks, it'll come out very quickly. Looking at the schedule, they played a few Mahomes type of teams, Aaron Rodgers, the Lions, and Dallas, and they played 70-point games. My point is they didn't play anybody yet. The Giants with Daniel Jones and Frisco with the 4-string quarterback, you don't get a sense of their team. Had Purdy. Purdy was 4 for 4 for 40 yards, right? If he doesn't get hurt, or at least plays the whole first half, you have a better idea what Philly's all about. But he went 4 for 4 on him. So if you extrapolate that to the whole game, I think that Mahomes will have a good game. He'll hit Kelsey. I don't know how they're going to stop Kelsey. Nobody stops Kelsey. And the fact that KC beat San Diego twice and they got the revenge on Cincinnati. And the only game they lost by 3 to Cincy and 4 to Buffalo. They're like Alabama, right? They lose, but they only lost by a field goal. So really it shouldn't count that they lost. I love that strategy with Alabama. Well, they were on the last, they lost by 3 and they lost by 1 and da-da-da-da-da. So therefore, they're really not losses. I love that mindset. But that's what you're dealing with. So I think KC, I don't know if they're the better team, but it's really hard to really stop Mahomes. I don't see them sacking him because he's not really injured. So he'll be mobile enough. Hey, Bobby. Bobby, I figured out Mahomes. He's really Jim the Anvil Neidhart or Ric Flair. He's really WWEing the injury. So in other words, Ric Flair's dying and he's like, oh no, don't hit me. And then he gets up and he puts the fingers in the rakes the eyes. That's what Mahomes is. He's really not injured, but he's pretending he's Ric Flair. And he's like, no, I can't go. I'm injured. And then he runs around like there's no injury. And then he does a Ric Flair where Rick would walk and then he'd fall down. That's Mahomes. He gets hit a little and he starts limping on the leg just for reaction. There's really no injury. He's just limping around like Ric Flair does. And then next thing you know, Ric Flair's got you in a figure four. What about the injury, Rick? Oh, I was just pretending. And that to me is Mahomes. I think he's watching too much of The Rock and Stone Cold, because I don't think he's injured. You cannot make that play at the end of the game and then take the dive and say that you're injured, because you never run. I know my foot was killing me. The last thing I'm doing, I can't barely walk on it, is to take a dive on it. You know how much pain that would be if I would have taken a dive? I could barely, sometimes when it was really hurting and I'd have to go to the bathroom, I'm on my knees trying to go to the bathroom, and it's extremely difficult, the stress of that. So I honestly, there's no way he's injured. Don't compare the NFL and the WWF. It's an insult to which is less fake. Well, and which is less scripted. Yeah, I don't know. I think The Rock's going to actually be at the game. He did play for Miami, so I could see him out there. He'll take the mic like, it'll be 3rd and 10, and The Rock takes the mic, and he gives the eyebrow, and we smell what he's cooking, and he'll start coming out and talking on 3rd and 10. I think that's what we're going to see. Then he waits for the ref to turn around, and it's the other guy with an illegal low blow. Yeah, well, isn't that Mahomes? Was he really hurt? There's no fucking way. You don't take a dive with a high ankle sprain. There's no fucking way. And then it just so happens the ref calls the penalty. Now, seriously, is it a penalty for touching the guy, even if he's out of bounds? Or let's say the whistle stops, so the guy goes, and you know how they blow the whistle, and then it's a little bit, but he didn't really shove him down. It was a dive. It was like, I don't watch soccer, but from what I understand, I saw a Key and Peele episode where the guy is like in the hospital, buried, and then he gets up and he's fine, pretending he died from the flop. That's about what I'm seeing here. There's no way he's just a little tap should have been a personal foul, and then he takes the dive knowing he'll get the flag because he's Ric Flair. And that's what I see. Absolutely. So I'm starting to take like Kansas City in the over in the game. I don't know. A little early. I definitely like the over, looking at Philly's 370-point games. And they're such a weak schedule. And KC played a lot of 40-some games. So this will be a 43. They played Buffalo 44, Cincinnati twice. A lot of their games were to San Diego twice. I think Philly and San Diego are very similar offensively. The good running backs, the good receivers, and Herbert's better than Hurts. So I really see that. I'm going to compare it to San Diego, and they never get killed. KC doesn't get blown out. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, but the offensive line was hurt. Here, they're fine. Here, nobody's hurt. There's some receivers are a little bit sketchy, but really not. They'll be back. I don't think Schuster, as long as they got Valdez, Scanling, and Kelsey. All right, so they have another tight end they'll throw out. You've got the running backs to go out. Yeah, they lost a lot of injuries on defense. The cornerback who tried to tackle Perrine, and Perrine just fucking broke his neck. That was good. I mean, I don't know what the cornerback was thinking. This guy's fucking 240 and just powerhouse, and he runs in, and you can see the neck snap back. Oh, yeah, he's got a concussion probably. So I don't know, but with 2 weeks, everybody will be healthy. It's a Super Bowl. You play if you can walk, or in Mahomes' case, you just fake it if you can walk. But that's how I view it. It's I don't see anybody really, like, let's say Buffalo's Philadelphia, running quarterback, good defense. At the time, Von Miller was there, and they only beat them 24-20. So I just don't see Philly. They're not, unless they play the fourth-string quarterback at Kansas City and Daniel Jones makes an appearance. I don't see Philly blowing them out. I think it'll be like the Dallas game, which was 40-34. I think this is high scoring. Because I don't think you shut down Kansas City. They will blitz them, but I don't know that you can blitz Mahomes and that you're really going to stop him. You watch wrestling, Professor? No, none of this shit. I watch the older stuff, like when Bobby brings up the Rock. I was watching some Rock yesterday, but it's on YouTube. I mean, the problem is on YouTube's the better football games, the poker, the wrestling. You can see the Rock and Stone Cold. I think that's what I was watching. The Rock was Stone Cold, and Stone Cold stunned him, couldn't take the Rock. The Rock did his people's elbow, and I don't understand it. He doesn't even hit the guy with the people's elbow. He goes and he like hits the mat. Like, okay, that's really gonna knock him out. And it's just funny, but it happened to be on when I was browsing YouTube. So okay, for Bobby, I was watching The Rock. But I did back then, but now it's so bad. I really I'd rather watch Money Heist and take notes on what the professor's doing. Yeah, wrestling used to be great in the early 2000s and most of the night. Well, Hulk Hogan was what, late 80s, mid 80s, and him and Flair and Macho Man and Andre the Giant. I remember watching WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome with Andre the Giant and Hogan. That was electric, man. That was like a Rose Bowl. That was incredible. Now who cares? Oh, Brock Lesnar, Whippy against the Undertaker, what's he, like 60 years old, the Undertaker? And it's funny is he only plays one match. He plays the WrestleMania, and then he's done for the year. It's hilarious. Yeah, in the 80s. Phil, I like the Stone Cold there. That was the last I noticed it. The way he jumped on the ropes and pounded a few beers was great. Well, and the broke the glass, and he'd stunned like all the McMahons. It was hysterical. When Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, yeah, Andre's like, pick me up. Andre's telling him, I'm done, pick me up. And because he was so big at the time, he had trouble breathing. So he's like, I can't, we got to end the match like right now. And he said to Hogan, slam me. But that was, that's, you can't get better than that. But it was very entertaining. We know it was. I was watching Bret Hart against, I think it was against Stone Cold, but they didn't show the end of it. It was like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, the YouTube ran out, and you're like, what the fuck? He's just in the middle. He got him in a sharpshooter, and you're ending the tape. Yeah, I saw a documentary on Andre, and he had a lot of health issues. He didn't need to. He could have got it fixed. And he said, well, this is the way I am. And there was a cure for Andre because he had like a gene that made him big and just kept going. So, he could have prevented that, but he didn't want to. He was supposedly a great basketball player when he was like 6'10" and 200 pounds in high school, but he kept growing, and then he got into wrestling. It was a freak thing in France. Phil, yeah, that was crazy. Back when you had to rent the WrestleMania and they were 8 hours long on Tubi. Well, you could watch it on pay-per-view. Yeah, Bret Hart and Stone Cold had great matches. Well, Bret Hart had great matches with everybody. Shawn Michaels and the others. I think he even played The Rock, but I like Bret Hart because he was, at least it appeared honest. He'd wrestle. He'd put all these moves on you and counter moves, and somebody would get him in a choke, he'd counter it. And, and all these little real wrestling moves. I like that. Not like Hogan with the, oh, wait, do they hear me? It's hysterical. Hogan had the same move. Hogan had the same script. I'm winning, then I'm getting beat up, and then I start, oh, here I come, and then he drops the leg on him, and he wins. I mean, it didn't matter what match it was the same match. Only Piper would beat him all the time. Fun story, Andre the Giant stopped by my local liquor store, wow, and bought 2 cases of beer once. Probably, yeah, I'm sure it was. He was a big drinker. Blockbuster Videos. Yeah, I remember they're on Netflix, but they just canceled it. But yeah, That's what I thought Netflix was, where you could just choose, here's the inventory, choose one. Instead of, well, we have 20 and you're going to watch this movie 15 times because, this is your choice of 5 movies for the month. Yeah, for sure. Brett was the man. He was the best actual wrestler there. Yeah, and his brother, um, Owen. And then Owen gets killed. I mean, that was obvious. Let's talk fixed, right? They clearly killed Owen Hart in that coming down from the ceiling because Sting did it all the time in the other one, and he never had an accident. So it's not like they didn't know how to do it. So again, you pissed the wrong person off. You pissed off the Undertaker, and he killed you. But that was terrible, that accident. But yeah, I mean, I guess Hart's dad was a good teacher, so he taught him all the moves and counter moves and stuff. But yeah, Brett was good. He had a stroke, I guess, unfortunately. So you see him now on YouTube, and I think he's getting better. But it was they had a big family. The British Bulldogs were related, like they married the sisters or something, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart was one of the Harts, one of my favorites. And Owen and Brett. I mean, it was quite the family circus, but it was good to watch. And that was entertaining. Even though you knew it was fake, you wanted to watch them. And that's, I think, what's missing. And for sure it's missing in baseball, where you had Mickey Mantle and you would watch Mickey Mantle. And then it would be I don't know, the 70s were kind of weak. And then you got Bobby and Barry coming up, and then Clemens, and they all did steroids, and McGuire. It was catastrophe. And now there's nobody in baseball. I don't know. I never rooted for Cabrera on the Tigers. It was like, okay, the dude can't speak English. I'm not a big fan of his. Sorry. That's the problem with baseball. There's nobody you want to see. I don't buy who's the guy on California? I don't Trout or whatever his name is. No big, it's like I'm not stopping to watch this guy hit. Was his brother-in-law, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I think, and the British Bulldogs. They were all related. Phil, they were all so coked and roided up. They were insane characters. It was a lot of fun. Well, Hogan obviously was. And Macho Man. Macho Man used to play for the Cincinnati Reds. He was a second baseman, I think. But obviously, he couldn't hit a curveball. He needed Bobby to teach him. That was around your time, Bobby, in the 80s. Coming out with the shades and the muscle blasting was cool. I went to a few live shows at MSG. The problem is I went to some wrestling at like the State Fair at Michigan or, there's Hogan. It was so fake when you got close because the camera angles on TV kind of block how fake it is. But when you're there and you're 5 rows in and you have the wrong angle, the guy's not even hitting them. They're just like acting like they got hit and falling down. It's really crazy. So that's how I was watching. They had something like 10 things the WWE doesn't want you to show. And they'd be like, the referee will go to the guy, and if he's okay, they'll do that. And if he's hurt, they'll do this. And they'll tap each other like, okay, I'm going to counter you, or I'm not going to counter you, or things like that, where they do all these signals when they were pointing it out. And it was kind of interesting, it's a magic trick, right? So, but it was good. It was very entertaining, and they don't have it now. I think they get away from the hero villain. I mean, you always liked Hogan to beat the bad guy. But what you didn't like, now I don't know who the villain is and who the good guy is. And they just fight each other. The villains will fight each other. I don't know who the good guys are. And they just fight each other. That's kind of stupid. You got to have good versus evil. That's the whole point of it, right? Bobby, I heard that's why most of them had longer hair too, because they talked to each other during matches, didn't want fans to see them. I watched yesterday, and they said why they water themselves down, like Triple H and Bret Hart and those guys. They say because it gets hot because of the lights. and it gets very hot in there. So it's actually to cool them down. They pour the water on their heads. That's why they do it. That's why Hart was so wet. I mean, his hair was really wet. But you'd see Stone Cold and he'd spray it, and Triple H. That's why it was, because it was hot to stay cool, which was interesting. That kind of stuff I don't mind hearing. The NFL will start doing that now. Mahomes will come out and put it on, but he'll water his helmet, not his head. But I mean, the NFL is going right down that road of fake and insecure and bad calls and everything else. Mick Foley was real. Well, I still think he, whenever they use the razor to cut themselves, I don't know if that was, that can't be real. Maybe it is, but I don't see it. But it's entertaining. You think it's real. If you're watching Stone Cold and Rock, it's real. I mean, I watched it yesterday, and I watched till the end, and I think The Rock won, and it was like you felt like he won. It was very entertaining. It kept you in it, and it was a very good show, we'll call it. But it seemed very real to that. When you see Brock Lesnar doing suplexes for 25 minutes, you're like, okay, this is really boring. Can't he do a different move? I mean, all he does is suplex everybody for a half hour. It's not entertaining. That's the problem now. They don't know how to entertain. They don't know the people. They bring on these idiots. It's just they don't have the charisma. And I don't know if McMahon's still there. I heard a really weird thing about the McMahon family. Just a second. He would take real legit chair shots and fly off the cages and all. Yeah, but when they fall from the cage onto the desk, there's airbags underneath. I saw that yesterday too. So they're actually falling on an airbag. I figured as more people are having their first year of sports gambling, a lot of people would understand what us bettors have been saying for years, that it's rigged. I bet the NFL hadn't counted on that. I don't think people are smart enough. It's like when I tell you to buy gold and silver, I try to get to the bottom of why. And I expect you to understand it or ask questions that you don't understand it. And I expect you to do it because it's going to protect you. And as I showed you in my video, my personality type, and everybody I showed it to, my friends said, yeah, that's who you are. And they're all, I'm really trying to help you. But it comes across sometimes. I was reading something yesterday where they said confidence kind of comes across like you're better than them because I'm confident. Because I only talk about what I know, but I dig into what I know. So when I say it, like about fasting, I know it. So I come across confident, but I'm not trying to be cocky. And that was the other thing. I remember when I married my wife, my first wife, and I haven't only one. She said, I don't think I'm good enough for you. Like, do you really want to marry me? I'm not good enough for you. And I get that. That's probably what happened in Alabama, where I probably intimidated the girl because I'm very confident that I'm not good enough for you. It's probably what it was, because she couldn't tell me to my face because she's scared of hurting me or whatever. But I am very confident about certain things, not everything. But I think in football you have to be. And to get to your point, Phil, the NFL, all they see is dollar signs. All of a sudden they're in Germany. Why isn't the Super Bowl in Russia or China? I'm surprised it's not in China. They make a lot of money on that. They only care about money. They don't think we're smart enough to know it's fixed. And if you listen to the radio, what do they say? Oh, Mahomes didn't take a dive. He got pushed. Yeah, really? You believe that? And it should have been, if he doesn't dive, he doesn't get the roughing call. Because the guy he didn't tackle him. He kind of, it was like, is Mahomes out of bounds? He's not supposed to be able to run, but look how fast he's running right now. He can't do that on a broken ankle. What the fuck's going on here? So the guy didn't deliberately, I don't think he deliberately pushed him, but Mahomes sold it and took the dive. But what are all the broadcasters and all the ESPN guys and all the talk radio heads? Well, he clearly got pushed. What are you talking about? Or they'll say, oh, it wasn't fixed. What are you talking? And they're trying to cover it up. And you'll hear that a lot on these where they'll talk you into a different bet. We all loved Cincinnati last week, and then you'll hear, well, KC this and KC that, or Philly and Frisco, whoever they needed, they were talking the other side. Or there was a game, it was Dallas Frisco. They were all on Dallas saying Dallas this and Dallas is going to win, da 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 da. And Frisco wins by 7, but they got the line down from 4 to 3 because they kept talking Dallas, 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 and the line moved to Dallas. But it's clearly fixed because it's not consistent. You'll call holding on me, but you won't call holding on them. You'll call roughing the passer on me that I roughed them, but you don't call it on them. That's the problem. That's the fix. Why aren't you consistent? Roughing if it was Tom Brady instead of Burrow, he'd have gotten both the roughing because Brady would have came up. What the fuck? And the ref, oh yes, Mr. Brady, I forgot you're paying our salary. He probably gives him Rolexes after the game like he does the offensive lineman. So the ref who makes no money because he works just football season at $50,000 a year. Here's Brady. Here's $100,000 Rolex. Make sure we win. And I'm sure that shit goes out all the time. Thank you, Grega. I don't know what to call you, Grega John. I mean, do I call you Grega John? John, Greg? Call Grega John for now. I would say more than ever before are starting to get that the fix is in. How many? No, it's hard to say. A lot more than last year when it wasn't legal in as many. Well, who sponsors the NFL? FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM. What kind of fucked up league are you that you have betting sites? And you know who owns them? Jerry Jones owns, I think, DraftKings, and I'm sure somebody else in the NFL owns BetMGM or FanDuel or whatever. That's your problem. So they're just trying to milk it for all the money they can get. I was going to tell you a McMahon story. I read somewhere or heard somewhere that all the McMahons are actors and it's not the real McMahon family. Like Vince, that guy is not Vince McMahon. That guy is John Smith. It's Paul Newman playing Vince McMahon. And the kids are not really the McMahons. They're just kids that, okay, she'll be the daughter and he'll be the son. And all of a sudden they can all wrestle. Really? You think Vince McMahon's kids isn't like going for a master's at Harvard and he's going to be an attorney? He's going to go wrestle? Really? With Vince's money and the daughter, why would she be involved? When they say they believe, I do believe they're actors and not real. Who the fuck knows? You don't know who Vince McMahon, is that the real Vince McMahon? He looks pretty fucking built up for a owner, more of an actor, right? And he acts a lot. And the kids act, they know how to handle the mic like actors would. So I wouldn't put it past them if they're not the real McMahons, but a bunch of actors playing the McMahons. That I could see very easily. And I think that's what happened. But I did read that, and I was not surprised. I was like, yeah, so let's take the NFL to Madoff. So the NFL is fixed, but they, let's let the SEC investigate, and they'll say nothing's there. Like Madoff, I mean, because the SEC said we don't find anything wrong, people invested. And they couldn't, I guess it's weird I'm making 20% when everybody else is making 4%, but it's Bernie Madoff. I don't know what he does, but, that's about the same, same thing here. You've got who the fuck knows. And they're just betting on the games. And now think about what they're doing for fans. Rob Gronkowski is kicking a field goal. Well, there you go, which should be. I remember Mantle and Mays did something for Trump at Atlantic City, and they had to quit because they were representing baseball, and they couldn't do casino hosting or promotions or something. How ridiculous is that? Now it doesn't matter. But that's what you have. What they're doing to you which I don't think anybody but me realizes it. It's the money line bets, it's the prop bets, it's all this bullshit bets where you have no idea. I mean, prop bets are ridiculous. You have no idea, right? You have none because who analyzes prop bets? I analyze the games, and I can tell you Cincinnati was going to beat KC with the 7 points. And I said, look at Cincinnati. They were 10-0 as a road dog. So I had support and analysis to pick Cincinnati in 7.5, and it won. I don't have any information or support to predict how many yards Joe Burrow is going to get or how many yards Mahomes is going to get. He threw for like 300 and some yards because he was supposed to be injured. So who's fucking who here? He's playing Ric Flair. He's pretending he's hurt. He's not. Sometimes he'll limp around and no, don't hit me. But at the end of the day, he threw for, I think it was like a big number, 350. So if you're doing a prop bet, you go, well, the guy's injured. He's probably not going to throw for that many yards if he even plays the whole game. And yet, so there's part of the fix and part of the problem. How do you prop him? And that's really my point. You can't prop the guy. I'm just looking for mice. It's clean. So you can't really prop the guy. You have no idea. So, but what are they doing? They're making all these prop bets. They used to just do them in the Super Bowl. Now they're doing them every week, and these suckers are betting them. And they're just going to, I guarantee you, those people lose more than they win on prop bets. It's an impossible thing to do. I agree. Hard to say who is and isn't an actor these days. There's also silicon mass technology. It looks 100% like another person. It is creepy. Well, I was watching something on Lord of the Rings, and then they had The Hobbit. And they said, look at Legolas. He had CGI, so he looked a little different. And it was all green screen. Well, you don't know what's green screen now. That's exactly your point. I mean, who the fuck knows what they're doing with all this technology? It's very bad. And you're trying to bet it. And the only thing good about betting is you're betting U.S. currency, which even if you lose, you don't lose because it's not worth anything. I believe something's going to happen big right after the Super Bowl. I don't know what's going on with Russian war. Like I said, my girlfriend in the Ukraine started shitting in her pants because the ballistic missile was in her city, and they shot it down, and she was crying like, holy fuck, what are they doing hitting us with ballistic missiles? It's one thing to have but a ballistic missile blows up the whole fucking city. And so she was scared. And so I don't know what the fuck Putin's doing, but I don't know. I think they're going to it's going to be like the Olympics. The war started the day after the Olympics ended because they were in China. And here you got the Super Bowl. And I think that's when the shit starts hitting the fan. My friend thinks it'll be digital currency. I says it's not possible. The U.S. is 5 years away from digital currency. I do think it's happening in China, and I think it'll happen in Europe, but I don't think it'll happen in the U.S. where they're nowhere ready for digital currency. That might be where it's headed, but it's not here for 5 to 10 years. So this will be interesting to see what happens. You got to be careful with food. You got to be careful with all the stuff coming out of Ukraine that isn't. So I don't really know what to think. I know the currency is going to blow up. I assume they'll come out with a new currency. Again, it's who the fuck knows. Every time I go to the barbecue place, he's got nothing set up for digital currency. So we'll see. But I don't think in the U.S. a lot changes much as it will in Europe and Japan and places like that. So yeah, people don't realize if they can fake it in the movies, they damn sure do it for more serious things. Even these wars, I think they can fake it for. Starting to get hungry, thinking of getting some chicken with broccoli. Go ahead, Bobby. Are you going out to get it, or do you cook it? Like, what's going on? Um, so I got my last bit of roast that I made Sunday night, and I got some more eggs, and I got to go to the grocery store, and I got rent tomorrow. Well, rent hits on the 2nd, and fortunately, I'll start getting the retirement, and I need that because I keep taking money out. So it'll be good to get something in. Bobby, anything that uncles a substantial amount of money can be fixed. Bobby, you eat out every day. Yeah, Bobby eats out every day. Anything that uncles, I love Bobby's language. Anything that uncles a substantial Amy of money can be fixed. Let's translate it to English. Yes, anything that includes a substantial amount of money can be fixed. Gotcha, Bobby. That's the whole point. Lately, I have been, but I usually like to prep my meals. What you think about big pharma, Professor? Big pharmaceutical? I don't like any pills. To tell you the truth, they don't really do anything, and they fuck up your body. We have to undrunk Bobby's texts. We're used to it, though. Yeah, we almost have it like our own little, like, that equals this and this equals that. We got our own little translator to when Bobby texts what he really means. Big pharma, I think they're trying to kill us. I think that diabetes is planned, and it's from eating too much high fructose corn syrup and too many carbs that turn into sugar, and the body overloads with sugar. Are they getting rid of the high fructose corn syrup? No. Are they getting rid of the Coke and Pepsi? That's more deadly than cigarettes. No. So they don't really get rid of the products that are causing this, and it's crazy. So that's what you have is the sugar is part of it. I think they think there's too many people on the planet, and they got to kill some because we'll run out of natural resources in 50 years. So they're trying to shrink the size of the population. So in their minds, they'll just kill us all instead of coming out with a way to fix it. Or we'll all go to Mars. I mean, you can't go to Mars because if you go more than 20 or 30 miles into space, you fry because it's radiation. That's why nobody's ever been to the moon, and nobody ever will go to the moon, because you will not make it. You will fry. The radiation, once you get out of the Earth's atmosphere, it's radioactive, and you would die. So I don't know how stupid people are. But this is the problem. See, look what they do. They tell us 9/11 was terrorist, da 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 da. And if we say it's a gold robbery, we're conspiracists. That's how they get you. So they just want you to go along, not to think and not to go. Well, the planes weren't even flying to defend. And then when you talk to Lear, he's saying you couldn't even have hit the Trade Center with a plane. It's impossible for just a commuter flight to fly into the Trade Center because it's too much wind. It's too small of a space. You could never hit it. He says he couldn't hit it in 100 tries. But we're supposed to just listen and go, oh, yeah, we just let the terrorists hit 9/11's buildings. And after the first one, we didn't. Why would we call the F-14s to protect us? No. We weren't sure. We wanted the second one to hit. And then Building 7 goes without being hit. What was that all about? So they don't want us to question it. Just believe Bush or whatever they say, even though the guy in the building took out a $1 billion terrorist insurance the week before, and all of Floor 105, which was the one hit, were on vacation that day. Yeah, okay. Yeah, everybody has an office, 200-300 people off on a Tuesday or whatever the day was. I mean, but we're not supposed to question it. We're just supposed to believe what they say and the whole thing. And it's all leads to, don't think, we'll protect you. We're the government. Just trust us. Yeah, Madoff's a good guy. Just trust us. And it's just sickening. But then I don't like when you question, which is what I do. I question everything because I don't believe anything. And when you question it, is when then you're the bad guy. It's like me questioning gold, right? Buy gold and silver. But if I tell people to buy it, they look at me like I'm from Mars. Like, well, why wouldn't? But the government doesn't want you to buy it, and it doesn't go because the government price fixes it, or J.P. Morgan. So why would you buy it? It doesn't do anything. So because I'm thinking and I'm realizing, because I understand inflation and economics, what the fuck's going on, and I'm running to gold and silver, but I'm out of my mind because I'm questioning it. You shouldn't question it. And that's what I noticed, like when my daughters were in public school, they would go to school all day, and then when they got home, they had like 5 hours of homework where you really didn't let the kids relax and turn on the TV and think. You're not letting the kids breathe. It's just go to school all day and then go do homework all night. What the fuck? I was getting tired because my kids would come to me to do their math, and I'm like, I worked all day. You got to be kidding me. And I couldn't even do it because they changed it, and I had to go read the chapter to figure out what the fuck they did so I could teach it to my daughter. And then she just wanted to be with me, so she'd come to me with homework every day. I'm like, I'm fried. I can't do homework with you every day. I can do it with you once in a while, but don't count on me. Just do it on your own. Like, what are you doing in class? Aren't you? She's probably sleeping in class because she's so fucking tired from that. So you can see what public school is doing. They're really frying the kids' brains, and they don't, and they can't think, and they don't want them to think. They don't want them to learn to think. And that's a shame. The only thing going to the moon is gold and silver. You got it, Bobby. Do I drink coffee? Yes, I do, Phil. Europe just banned a food dye color that is in many creamers due to cancer concerns. Has me thinking of switching creamers at the least. I use half and half, which is supposed to be very healthy for you because you really aren't supposed to drink milk. And then you got to watch out for pasteurization. So this is what I drink in my coffee and in my eggs. So I drink Land O'Lakes half and half, just regular, no local. I never drink. All my salad dressings are regular, not light, because the pasteurization, the bullshit they put in for the flavor is bad for you. So this is for coffee and for my eggs. So 3 eggs. I pour some of this in, which I'm going to do after, and then that's what I do. And it works fine for me. But I haven't bought. I used to buy skim milk, which was wrong because you were looking at calories. But skim milk has so much bad shit in it. I would never have skim milk again. I would just have. You're supposed to just have vitamin D milk, regular, nothing in it, and the calories are fine. I don't watch calories. I watch carbs. I watch sugar. I don't mind the fat's good for you. The protein's good for you. That's what you're supposed to eat. But everything they told you, like I'll have friends, don't eat red meat. And I'm like, fuck you. I eat red meat all the time. And I'm losing weight and my blood pressure's down. What are you kidding me? So they just don't know. And again, if you question it, you're contrary. And I really hate that. Hey, Ryan. I told you they were going to rig that Chiefs game. Well, that's why we bet teasers, Ryan. You were right, and I remember that. But that's why we bet the teaser. So we won with the teaser, but I thought it was clearly a dive by Mahomes. He didn't get touched, maybe a tiny bit, which should not have caused the flag. We're now thinking that Mahomes is Ric Flair, where he's faking the injury, and then he gets up and figure four somebody. So he's now we're giving him like Pat the Hitman Mahomes or something like that. Bobby, Land O'Lakes. That's butter. I eat that for butter, but not for half and half. That's how that's how here in Florida. Oh, geez, again, Bobby. That's how here in Florida. Okay, we're not sure what language, Bobby. I don't know how I can fix that one, Phil. That's how here in Florida. Land Lakes. Okay. An ex-girlfriend of mine lived there. Where? Land Lakes? Is that like a city you're telling me about? Or Land Lakes. Okay. Doe's chicken and broccoli have fruit corn syrup. You got to watch. You know what I was surprised is beets. I would go to my barbecue place and I would get the salad with the beets. Like I think it's a Greek salad instead of the coleslaw. And I couldn't, I'd go to the grocery store and they were like golf balls, right? They're like golf ball size beets, but you can't cut them in your salad. And then I talked to a girl in the hot tub. She was a Russian girl, and they eat the beets. And she says you boil them in water for like a half hour. It softens them up. Then you can cut them for your salad. So I went to look for a can of the beets because the waitress, I said, "Where do you get your beets from? I want to put them in my salad, but I don't, they're like golf balls." She says, "Well, we get them out of a can." So I go to the grocery store and I look at the can and it's like high fructose corn syrup, and I go, "Fuck, I can't eat these. I mean, these are terrible for you." So I started buying the beets, the golf ball that said Titleist on the beet, and then you boil, you get a big pot, hot water, boil it. Then you throw the beets in, about 3 or 4 of them, not too many because you don't really eat them that quickly. So you put like maybe 2 beets in and they get soft. And then once they're soft, you take them out. They're extremely sweet right after, just like candy. And then you slice it up and then you can put it in your salad without all the high fructose corn syrup. And they're very tasty, but that's how you do it. They're like golf balls. So the Russian girls are good for something. They know a certain thing, but they know beets. Doc's chicken and broccoli have fruit. Okay, Phil, that's a tough one to translate, Professor. I'm at a loss. Land Lakes is not the butter. I thought he was talking about the butter, but I guess there's a city called Land Lakes near Tampa. That's how here in Florida, that gets a little bit like, yeah, I'm with you, Phil. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. So what do you think, Bobby, of Brady selling his house for $40 million? Are you going to buy it or what? Well, you said it was Derek Jeter's house. So you and LeBron going to buy it, or one of the ball players? Keep in mind it'll be worth $20 million soon after the inflation crushes it and the interest rates go up. But I guess when you're in that question, we got to go to Brady is what are you doing with the $40 million? Or what does he walk away with? He's got to pay what? 3% to the agent. That's $1.2 million. I'd love to be his agent, right? All you need to do is sell his house. You're done. Yeah, I got $1 million. Woo. So they get 3%, and then I assume he's got to pay taxes because Uncle Sam's going to want their 50%. So I don't know what he walks away with, but then what does he do with the money? If he's got it in dollars, he just sold his house for nothing. If he's smart enough to put it into gold and silver. See, that's where these guys don't think. Could you imagine Bobby going online and ordering your gold and silver? Yeah, give me $30 million of gold. I want the Philharmonics. I need some maple leaves, and I want the kangaroos. So give me about 30 million of those. Could you imagine? And that's the point. If these businesses, like the one I was at, the small company, and they're buying these dinky bullshit companies, just fucking take the money and buy gold with it. You could sit home and relax, just wait for the gold to go up. This is where people are ignorant, and this is where they don't understand me. I'm telling them what's going to happen. Gold is going to go through the roof. You'll make far more money taking whatever money you're investing in these small businesses to try to turn them around, and most of them are male investments. What does that mean? You know what that means. There's no demand for them. these are not needed items. These are wanted items. And in the middle of a recession and you're losing your ass for GM because nobody wants electric vehicles. And if you notice, Tesla has just lowered his price on them because he can't sell them. If you understand that, then you see that I don't want to buy wants. I need to buy needs. Food is a need. You have to have it. Electricity, you have to have. Rent, you have to have a house or a condo or an apartment. You have to have a place to live. And that's really the point of it all. And these little crappy companies that sell, mine was rollers and conveyors, that who the fuck's going to need that? Nobody needs it. I can take the box 10 feet over and move it. I don't need, like I worked at a grocery store when I was 16 and you loaded them on a two-wheeler, right? So you'd stack up two liters of pop, and then you had handles and wheels on the bottom, and you'd shove them over, and I'd wheel them from the back room into the fucking aisle. Well, I don't need a roller and a conveyor to do that. These parts aren't that heavy. They're moving as much as heavy as what I was moving. So what the fuck are they doing? So you're trying to sell that? There's no demand for it. The car companies are going to be in trouble. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he's saying how as soon as they build these cars, they're sold. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. Unless maybe they're hybrids, but I can't see the demand unless it's just they want to buy it before prices go up. Fuck, that scared the shit out of me. I don't know what that is. 313. That's a local number. But that's the problem, right? He said that, and I didn't believe him. He said, "Oh no, all the cars are already sold," and I'm like, "No, that's not. Nobody who's buying a car now and paying 9% interest on it, especially over market." And then he's starting to talk about deflation, and again, he's going to price. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's talking prices going down. It's not deflation. The currency going down is deflating. You don't have as inflation as you print more, deflation as you print less. It's got nothing to do with prices. Prices going up and down are the market. The ribs are $25, says the market. You raise them to 30, you can't sell them. You lower to 25. It's not deflation. You tried to sell it for more than your market and you got caught and you couldn't do it, so you lowered your price. It has nothing to do with anything but the market and you figuring out where the market is. That's it. Phil, does the sale of this Florida home mean anything? Maybe he's over Tampa, or is this one of several Florida homes he had? Professor got the ringer back. Well, no, on the calls. That's for the girls. That's my WhatsApp, I think. Or maybe a guy left a message. Oh, that's my WhatsApp. Let's see or maybe no, that was a message. The WhatsApp, I got nothing. Oh, I got a photo from my Romanian friend, my gold digger. No, that was a message on that, so I'll have to call that. Now that I'm retired, I'm getting calls for jobs. It's hysterical. I think Brady's leaving, and he's going to he's going to the Jets or Oakland or wherever, and that's why he's selling his house. He's probably got the deal already made. I'm a little disappointed, Bobby. He was, pretty close to you, and now he's moving away. It's got to be a big blow to the Tampa area. And I'd like to know is who the fuck bought it. Did you buy his house for $40 million, Bobby? Are you holding out, not buying gold and buying Brady's houses and Jeter's houses? I mean, who's got $40 million to buy it? Unless you're just saying, well, I bought Tom Brady's house. I mean, I guess that's it. But yeah, he's out. Like I heard, what was it, Rodgers to Oakland, and it makes sense with Devontae Adams. So that whole thing makes sense. That's part of the plan, right? They let Carr go, and they say we're going to bring in Rodgers. They already have this discussion near the end of the year. So Rodgers says, fuck you to Green Bay, and he loses to the Lions, and now he's free, and he goes to Oakland with Devontae Adams, and then Green Bay starts Jordan Love, and they go 6-12 next year because he sucks. So that's what'll happen there. But yeah, I mean, there's so much phoniness. This is the problem. See, this is why I dig in and I know what I see. Like Mahomes diving, I know what I see. Picking the games, I dig in, and I don't really think who's going to fix the game. Like who's going to win? Philly's 1.5 over KC. Does that mean KC's going to win because they want Mahomes to win? Does it mean they don't want Jalen Hurts to win? They don't want Philadelphia? I mean, I can't think like that. I can only look at it and go, well, KC lost to Buffalo and Cincy by 3 points. They're getting 7.5 here. Probably going to be a good bet. Philly didn't play anyway. Their schedule was so weak. They play a 70-point game. Like, okay, they have such a great defense. How the fuck did Dallas put up 40 points on them? And how did Detroit put up 35? Now, that was week 1. And then how did there was a few 70-point games that they played that you're like, are they this good? They're not at home, and they're actually going to play a quarterback this week. So I don't know. Right now, superficially looks like Kansas City at 7.5 is the play. Is it fixed? Well, we'll find out, but more likely they're going to fix Mahomes, right? They want Mahomes to win. I love that whole line of thinking. Who did they want to win? Like, the fuck do they care? They just want to make money. They don't care who wins. I don't think they really care who wins. I think they want to make the game close. I think whoever's up 10 points will start getting holding penalties, and whoever's down 10 points will start getting pass interference calls. I think that's how they fix it, but I don't think that they can actually, we want Mahomes to win because, they don't want Hurts to win. So I could see them wanting Mahomes to win and Andy Reid because he's such a great coach, because he only lost 7 Super Bowls or 9. What did he lose? He lost like 14 championship games. Yeah, what a great coach he is. Oh my God. They think he's good because he got there, and I think he's bad because he lost them all. So I guess they think Bud Grant's a great coach too. Phil, I agree it is difficult to predict the fix. You can do it like Buffalo, Miami. And what do I tell you on these big spread games? I said they're not going to cover, and they very rarely do. So Buffalo wins by 3, lane 13. That you can pretty much guarantee because they can easily lay down, throw the pick, go for it on 4th down and not get it, let the guy run a punt back. You can do a lot to win by 3 because you don't care. You just want to win because it's the NFL. I think college is very hard to fix. Like when TCU's playing, I don't know, Kansas or Kansas, they're gonna pound them. Well, just take any Kansas game, right? They're Kansas Oak State. You know it's going to be a 75-point game. The over-under comes out in the 60s, and you bet it over, and they win every time we won with them. So that's very hard to fix, the over-unders, because they score so easily, which is so ironic because then they get into the pros and they can't score. And you're like, okay, how can they put up 90 points in college? And then they look at USC and what was it? What was it, Temple or whoever they played? Tulane, I think. What was it, Tulane? USC Tulane. They play 89-point game. And in the pros, you're lucky. What did you get? A 43, a 38, a 31, a 37, a 45, a 47. So where all the overs were winning the first week, all the unders were winning the next. Some overs won, but mostly they were low-scoring games. And that like, how does Georgia beat TCU 65-7? But in the pros, you'll never see. This Super Bowl will not be more than a 7-point game, and it won't be 65-7. Like, you'll never see a 65-7 championship game in the pros, like you did in college, right? Georgia just keeps scoring, so you really can't fix the college game like you can the pros, and that's really what I think it's about. Is they just can't fix it. I just don't see how you can. It's just, what are you going to do? But I think college is easier to fix because you can easily go to the players who don't make any money, and here's $10,000. or in the Gambler with James Caan at the end, he keeps fucking around with the money. He has it, he loses it. He has it, he loses it. And then to get out of not getting killed by the mafia, he goes to his basketball friend in his class, who's the star player on the team. And the guy says, okay, you can win, but not more than 7. So they're up 15. He gets taken out. They go down. They're up 6. And there's 10 seconds left, and his guy's got the ball, and he dribbles it out. And then they win by 6. They didn't cover the 7. And that's how he gets out of it. And you're like, this is, New York City college basketball. Like, really? They even had a line for it. It cracked me up. Yeah, let's have a line on, Brother Rice High School playing Catholic Central. Yeah, we're gonna have lines on high school football. Let's fix that too. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is it's so obvious it's fixed that it's becoming like, okay, really, and it's so hard to watch because they keep putting the breaks in. For the why is it a 5-minute break to do a instant replay that 99 out of 100 is either very, very obvious and should take 22 seconds to go, yeah, his foot was in or his foot was out. The guy in Dallas at the end of that game, he picked up his foot, he caught the ball, took his one step. The second step was out of bounds by 3 feet. Took all of 5 seconds to go, yep, he was out. Well, we went away for commercial for 5 fucking minutes. You can't watch it anymore. It's like, I'm going to the Munsters. It's see you later. I mean, that's the problem, trying to watch it. It's crazy. Phil, those Tuesday and Wednesday night MAC games are some of the most rigged games I've ever seen. Well, and you realize the only reason they're Tuesday, Wednesdays is so there's more betting. Because people, if there's a game on, want to bet it. They're not like us. I sit there and I look at the games, and this is what I'm going to bet. And I don't bet Tuesday, Wednesday because it's on, unless there's a purpose. And I go, yeah, if this was Saturday, I'd be betting it. I like this team. I'm going to bet it. And that's what you have. That's why they do the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games, Monday night. Strictly for more betting action. If every game was Saturday and Sunday, you'd bet your 10 games and that would be it. Now they force you. There's two or three games on Tuesday, Wednesday. Are they rigged? Yeah, Mac, I don't know. It's probably easier to rig them. These are a bunch of nobodies. Excuse me. Anyway. Phil, I've seen lines on Hawaii high school football games. Why only Hawaii? I don't know, and it wasn't at my book, but I have seen them other places. Well, it's not even degenerates. Do you really want to bet on high school football? And then do you want to expose the kids where the gamblers come and it's Joey and you go, you're the best quarterback. You can win, but you can't win by 10. Here's 20 grand. I mean, it makes it even easier because, what are you going to do for Rodgers and Brady, right? Mahomes, you're going to really fix the game. You got to give them $20 million or kidnap their wife. Where in high school, the guy, here's $100. Oh, great, $100. Hey, wait, it's inflated. I want 150 to get my 100. Yes, of course, no one would watch a Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois game without it being the only football on those nights. That's where I take a break. It's too much. I can't watch because it's not 3 hours. It's 3.5 and all the commercials and all the instant replays and everything. It's just too much that I can't. I can watch the 15-minute YouTube, but and even that's getting hard with all the fucking breaks they put on it. And they put the breaks in at the wrong time. So the guy will be going to kick a field goal and he gets the snap. And then it's the 5-second commercial or the 2 15-second commercials, which really pissed me off because now you've just screwed up my whole concentration for 30 seconds. And I rewind it to go, okay, where's my thought again? It's easier to rig the smaller conferences in college for many, of course. High school game lines being listed, you might as well investigate those players' ref schools immediately. Something is surely shady there. Well, why are you betting on high school sports? That's the point. And see, that's what kills me. Why would you bet on high school football when you could just do this? So whatever you're betting what, $500 to go buy a quarter ounce of this. I don't get why would you want to bet when you could have a free gamble. This is a gamble because we're gambling it'll go up, but it's a lock. It's 100%. It will go up. So we're doing something that'll make us a ton of money without risk. And why would you bet on a high school game? What are you, out of your fucking mind? Unless it's fixed, of course. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem with it. So I don't really like that. But why is there even high school lines? Who's behind all that? So I agree with that. That's just ridiculous. That there are high school lines, and even half the like. Okay, now I've been betting college football since the '60s, so I don't have a problem making a line, but just make the games fair. I never thought Michigan Ohio State games were fixed in the '70s, or the Rose USC Ohio State was fixed, or any of that. I never thought it was fixed. I think there was one Michigan USC game where Charles White fumbles the ball at the 1 and they call it a touchdown. Was that fixed or missed? And at that time, you couldn't review it. It was the ref said touchdown is the touchdown. So I don't really know what to think about that one. Was that fixed or just a missed call? But it was in the middle of a shitload of players. So you really had to look on the camera at the video going, where's the ball and what happened? But I don't think that was it. Bobby, let's see if Bobby's speaking English. Some sports books then have WWE pay-per-views to bet on. Some sports books even have WWE pay-per-views to bet on. Yeah, I mean, all right. So you're going to bet The Rock? I mean, is this what it's got? Do they? Well, who? I wouldn't even know any of the wrestlers, but yeah. I mean, how do you bet? Now we know that's fixed, so you'd almost just take the favorite every time. I mean, how does Vegas set that line? They know it's fixed, so do you set Andre the Giant as a minus 140 against Hulk Hogan? Or Hulk Hogan's going to win, and he's the minus 140. I mean, how do you do that? You know who's going to win. How do you establish the line? Where we don't really know who's going to win the Super Bowl, but we think it'll be Mahomes because he's faking he's injured. So I wonder if Ric Flair is going to be there. That would be good. Phil, yes, and the Oscars and shit. I've seen that Bobby, someone somewhere knows the winner before the event. I don't know how they do those lines. Well, it's like the same thing with what color Gatorade and how long will the national anthem go? What kind of fucked up shit is that? They know what it is. They know it's orange Gatorade, or they know it's red, or they know the national anthem takes 3 minutes and 37 seconds to sing. This girl does a lot of, haikus, and therefore it's going to be an extra 10 seconds. And but the bigger question is, who's the idiots betting on this? You're betting on what color the Gatorade is. Really? And you're formulating this pick. How is your buddy the Gatorade, puts the Gatorade in the bucket? I mean, what the fuck? Who bets on that? I mean, these are seriously stupid people. But as we see, there's a lot of serious stupid people out there that will not basically, you tell them to buy gold, they won't listen, or you tell them 9/11, or you tell them Kennedy, and they won't listen. You're like, I trust my government because they would never lie to me. Yeah, Phil, there was a prop bet that Will Smith would slap Chris Rock. Oh wow, interesting. I heard that one, Bobby. Bobby's full of it. There was no bet on that. Um, now, where is the? Why aren't they in WrestleMania? Will Smith and Chris Rock, and you got Ric Flair on one corner and Hogan on the other, and Mr. T. Talk about a real fake guy, Mr. T. I mean, that guy. He's in the Rocky movie. Then you see him in wrestling. He's like a little 3'5" guy, and he's got all this gold on. He looked like he was like, okay, you built him up in the Rocky movie, but me and you could take him now. We would beat him. That's how stupid it was. Bobby's joking, Phil. He has no fucking idea. What was the odds, Bobby? And did Will's wife, was she involved in it too? That she was going to look that way and provoke Will to defend her against Chris Rock on a joke? I mean, it was a joke. Was it a good, it was probably a decent joke considering he was comparing her to G.I. Jane because they were both bald. So it was like, okay, it's a bad joke, but I understood the joke, but I understand he's joking. So what would he have done with Don Rickles, right? Will Smith and Don Rickles, and Don calls him a black, or he calls him whatever, a tall guy, whatever, how Rickles insults. So what's Will Smith going to go on Rickles' stage and slap him? He'd have been dead. Rickles' guys would have killed him. I mean, literally, he had mafia protection. Okay, well, I assumed it was from 2 years ago when it happened or whatever, indicating it was set up. Well, Bobby, he lives 2 years ago. Like right now, it's January 31st, 2019 for Bobby. The rest of us, it's 2023. So you got to understand. He's going to go get his chicken and broccoli. So wait till he eats. And then he's drinking. So you can't really take Bobby for his word. You're all right, Bobby. So I want to know who's going to move in. I need you to go. Who bought Tom Brady's house for $40 million? We need to talk to this guy about buying us gold and silver. Tell him we want about 1,000 ounces of each, and we'll put it into the Teaserking family pool. And as it goes up, we'll profit sharing to everybody. Except these weird guys that come on and insult Bobby. We won't cut them in on it. So I don't know. It's getting very, very scary out there. Everybody's out of the dollar as much. Argentina and Brazil are now coming out with a Latin American currency. So you have the Russian, China, Middle East currency, or Far East, China and Japan and whatever. And then you've got whatever they're going to do in Europe, and then you've got the Iran and Saudi Arabia boys, and now you got the Latin American boys, and they're all coming out with different currencies. I thought it was going to be a one world government and one world currency, and that's impossible because each country's run differently. It'd be like GM, Ford, Toyota, and you're going to have one guy run it. You can't because they're all different entities run different ways. You can't. That's how the world is. China makes things and people buy them. The U.S. doesn't make anything and we buy all the stuff. So you can't have the same money for both different countries. I didn't know Brady sold his house. That's what I heard. Last night, $40 million, but maybe it wasn't real. I don't know, but that's what I read. Of course, then, I have to just trust it because the government's telling me, Bobby. You know how that is. If they tell you, then that's what's real. By the way, Tuesday Chinese restaurant was closed again, so I ended up getting Cuban place rice and beans with baked chicken. What happened to the broccoli? So go to the store and buy broccoli, and you can either fry it or just cut it up and put it and wash it and eat it in a salad. The broccoli is good. I just bought some more. That's what I do is broccoli, red, yellow peppers, and the mushrooms. And then I get an onion once in a while. And then I get chicken from the deli. And that'll either be a salad or that'll be my omelet. And it depends on my mood. And then as I start running out, and I usually like I'll run out of broccoli, then I go to the store and I buy a broccoli and something else. So I keep going to the grocery store for 5 items. But it's good. I'm only spending like $25 on 5 items. Phil, I was watching a video earlier about the Beijing Gold Exchange that is fairly new. They have gold listed for far above the COMEX price. We have, from what I understand, what's the price? I'm curious, because that's the price. I didn't know I know there's a Russian gold exchange. That's what's going to help, because once it's not going to be paper, it's going to be physical. So make sure that Beijing Gold Exchange is physical. But get me that price, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah, and went to Tuesday's supermarket earlier to get more food to prep T. Joe's week. Some bison and veal. No pigs there, so I'm a little disappointed, Bobby. I thought that'd be on the menu. Bison, yeah, I think you talked me into the bison burger. I can never find it. Veal's good. Lamb's expensive for some reason. When I was younger, my mom used to make veal, but I normally get cow. I mean, I'll get New York strips or something, and then God knows the sirloin hamburger or whatever. And I just had the roast, which is an English cut. I don't know. I don't think that was veal, but I would eat it. But I'm just looking at the prices going, I can get a nice New York strip for $9.99. I'm picking up. He didn't mention the price in the video, and the video wasn't about that only. Yes, it was for physical trading. Well, we should be able to do a lookup on Google for Chinese gold exchange, Beijing Gold Exchange, or the Moscow Gold Exchange. And see, once those prices come out, COMEX is done. And so they come out at $10,000 and COMEX is at $2 million. Now we know the real price of physical is 10, and nobody pays attention to COMEX anymore, and COMEX is gone. And that's the beauty of what they're doing in China and Russia, because China and Russia wants this price to go because they are both broke. You ever eat, I love lamb. The lamb chops are good, but they're fucking expensive. They're like $30 for a little lamb chop, and you're like, I can get a steak for $9.99. I'm eating the steak, but they must not feed him the hormones or something. Bison is great and only $13 a pound, so not crazy expensive, but slightly so. Well, no, but if it's a lot healthier. Bobby, so physical sells at a premium compared to COMEX. No, it doesn't sell at a premium. It sells at the value. So it's not a premium. The premium is the gold guy going, well, let's see, gold's at $19.50, but I'm going to sell you the Philharmonic at, I'm going to add 100 to it, $20.50. That's what the premium is. The guys are so stupid that they're sitting there going, well, we'll mark the premium to COMEX to try to get the physical. It's nowhere near what the physical really is. It's $10,000, $15,000. And that's why I laugh at my guy. He's so clueless about the COMEX is a fantasy price. The $19.50 for COMEX is not anywhere near reality of what the price of gold is. It's a COMEX derivative. We're keeping the price down price. It's not real supply and demand. Now this Beijing comes out and it's 10 grand an ounce. What do you think is going to happen? Everybody runs into it because they now realize it's not 2,000, and then that's when Professor gets his 50,000 an ounce. That's true, Phil. What are we doing? We're talking bison. Okay. So physical sells at a premium compared to COMEX price. COMEX price is not real. I watched the video that said gold and silver and going to dump lower before flying up by the year end. They were talking about paper. It's a bullshit video. Don't watch those videos because they are not real. They're talking about derivative gold. And as soon as I see that, I turn them off and give them nasty comments like, go fuck yourself. Why are you on YouTube telling people bad information? because it's not physical that's going down. It's the derivatives, because the derivatives, they want to keep the price down. The other thing that they're misleading you on is if people need the money, they sell the gold to then get money so they can pay rent and buy food. That's not demand selling gold. That's people needing the money. They're just trading it in. So that's not, oh, look, the demand for gold's down. No, they needed fake money so they could pay rent and food. Yeah, that's what it is, Bobby. I already know all that. That's what I get mad at as my personality trait dictated. Um, I was watching another thing on my personality trait yesterday, and it's how people are misled by me because I'm so confident. They get upset and they get scared, and they mistake my confidence and my skill for arrogance. And I don't know why they do that. It's just because when I know something, I know it. I'm very confident about it. I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I'm trying to say this is what it is. Gold's going to go up in value. Am I arrogant by saying that? I don't think so. Am I trying to get you to buy it so you can protect yourself? Yeah. Do I know it's going up? Yeah. And so all I'm saying is not opinion, but fact, because I figured it out. It's just like I figured out Cincinnati was going to beat Kansas. Well, in the teaser was going to beat Kansas City. That was my free play. I figured it out. So I didn't care as long as, whoever the line was, I was going to take Cincinnati. I just prefer them to be the dog. But I knew it. I knew that was going to happen, or it's the feel or the intuition or whatever you want to call it. But people are so insecure, especially women. They're so insecure. They don't get when you're confident. Instead of going, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing, they get scared. Oh, I think I told you. And then like my ex-wife, she's like, I'm not good enough for you. And I think I get that with a lot of girls. They don't think they're good enough for me. And I'm thinking, you're fine. You look good. I mean, that's what good enough is. I talk to you guys. I don't need to talk to them. That's not, women are a little different subject. It's, it's different reasons you have a girlfriend than I talk sports and poker and gold with you guys. All right, so nothing new. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we want is these gold exchanges coming out with the real price of physical, blowing up the COMEX, which is really not meant to buy from. It'll blow up these ETFs. I think we're getting the message out because they said that these are not doing anything. In other words, the ETFs haven't had any activity in. It's all out. And that's why I try to tell you guys, don't buy them because you're not really buying gold. They're doing a Madoff on you. They're saying, oh, it's physical. It's not. They don't have gold back there selling it to you. It's, you want gold, you get gold. That's what you do. You buy it, you put it in the case, you hold it. I got it. You can't inflate this because it's there. And that's the real thing. But the ETFs, they'll promise you gold and they'll say they're physical and they're not. They just lie to you. And these guys should be put to jail for misleading the public, which is what I'm saying. So I know that for a fact. It's not my opinion. They should go to jail. Like I would say Madoff was obviously scamming because you couldn't make that. You can't never lose. And, obviously the SEC was fixed on it, but I can't go 100% every week. And then I don't tell you, I just say, oh, I pick it. And I don't go through the games with you and explain them. That's ridiculous. So once you hear that, if anybody comes out and says, I pick 100%, not me, but they do, then they're full of shit. It's extremely difficult to do what I do. And I go, 74, 75%. but I've got it really figured out where most people can't even think like me or have the instincts. So that's really what I do. But I couldn't go 90%. I mean, one year I started off like 35-0. I hit the first 5 or 6 weeks, everything. It amazed myself. And it was just the games just were there. And I go, take this, this, and this. And they all won. And boom, boom, boom. And it was, I think it was 2002 or something around there. And it was beautiful. It was a 35-0. It was amazing. I had a huge year that year. So I get that once in a while where I'm just dead on. And, I don't have too many bad years because we're quick to change. Oh, Burrow's there. Now we're going to bet Cincinnati. So we're quick to see it, and then I have the eye for it, and then we can go and do it. But Madoff to go 20% return 100% of the time, but I'm not going to tell you how I'm doing it. You're a fucking idiot if you listen to that. See, that's where you get the greed going. Oh, I'm going to make 20%. And how are you going to do that? Well, I'm betting on fixed football games. I mean, I don't know. I just get it. Well, how do you invest in that? That's the same as betting the props. It's the same as not knowing how or why you're betting the football games. At least you can say, well, I'm listening to the professor, but he does go into how he does it, and I can see it. And I see what he does, and I see he's successful. So I can follow him, and we can bet based on what he's giving you. So at least you can give an explanation to your family, like, this is how I'm winning, is this guy really knows what he's doing. Not Madoff, who couldn't say what he was doing. I keep hearing about that Fed meeting that's taking place tomorrow. It's bullshit. They're going to raise rates 0.25% because they're going to keep raising rates to blow up the system. And everybody's off the dollar, which is what they want because China's running the U.S., and that's really the problem, right? They want the system to blow up. Who the fuck wants that? It's crazy. So they're going to raise it 0.25%. There's really nothing to listen to. That'll be the news. And what's he going to say? Well, inflation's down. We're not in a recession. Yeah, you can dream all you want, but that's not reality. Remember, there's no deflation. If the price drops because Toyota made it 30 and now it's 25, it's not deflation. It's just you can't measure inflation in price. Phil, I've seen some maniacs who seem to demand 100% from you in the chat. I guess that's why you have comments on your vids turned off, so some idiot doesn't trash one pick you make and ignore the good picks. Well, that's exactly. I was getting beaten up in chat, and I really don't want to look at and read my chat, and especially negative ones, because I am a little sensitive, and I didn't want to go through that. It's really not what I'm trying. I'm trying to make guys money with my skill, and I'm saying, here's how you, and I'm trying to teach you, and I'm saying, here's what you look for, here's how you come up with it, and here's the picks. And yeah, I get a lot of positive in here. I don't need the positive. If you go out of my website, on the homepage, there's a lot of positives that people have given me that I put on that. But I don't want to go through all the chats. I know I'm going to get some negatives, which I don't want to read. I don't need it. And, if somebody says, oh, nice pick. Well, I know it's a nice pick. We won money on it. I don't need to be massaged that I made a good pick. But that's why I turned off the comments. I don't have time to read them all. I want to focus on the future as my personality trait showed you. I like looking forward. I'm strong enough that I don't need somebody to say there was a good pick. Cincinnati over KC was a good pick. I know it was a good pick. I gave it out free, so I don't need to read that. But if somebody, you get these idiots that say, well, I said whatever, I can't, there's a couple of games that I had picked, and I says, well, the bet was over, not the game. That's like I bet TCU Michigan. I took TCU. maybe somebody asked me about the over, and I said yes or no. I don't know. I said, but the bet was TCU in 13, and the bet was Georgia even against Ohio State. I don't need to answer, oh, well, look how close Ohio State was, or this or that. Or you took Ohio State. I remember I got one of those. I said I liked Ohio State over Michigan, and Ohio State lost. The real Ohio State team played Georgia pretty good, didn't they? And I don't need to hear that, well, you picked Ohio State and they lost. I know I picked Ohio State and lost. I don't hide it. I put it on here. I said, take Ohio State. I love the game. I was shocked they lost. It happens. But I don't need to read it, and I don't need some idiot telling me, do you think Taylor was good now? You think he stinks, or you think Trevor Lawrence stinks. Now what do you think? I still think they stink. But where are we going with that? I don't need to go there because I tell you my reasoning, and it's still there. I tell you Josh Allen isn't very good, and then he lays an egg against Cincy 27-10. I prove my point. You're looking at him against the Bears. I'm looking at him in the playoff game, and he doesn't come through. That's what I'm looking at when I say these quarterbacks are no good. What did Lawrence do in the playoff game? Taylor can't get there because he keeps getting concussed. That's what I'm talking about. They can't read a fucking blitz. That's how I'm measuring them, not when the guy's wide open for 20 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, I expect him. He's a pro to do that. But that's not what I'm talking. So we're not on the same wavelength, which is another trait of mine. But that's basically what it is. So I don't need to get a comment. Well, I thought you liked Michigan, or I thought what happened to Ohio State? They lost to Michigan. I don't need the comment. So I don't need to read it, and I don't want to see it there, and I don't want to. That's going to take 5 minutes out of my day and ruin my concentration. So I can't pick a game because I'm like worried about that. So I don't even want to see that stuff. I don't want any negative. You can see what happens when you're negative here. I hide you. I don't kick you off. I just hide you so you can't make comments. So the guy who picked on Bobby and said Bobby's lying and Bobby this, you don't see him anymore because I've hit him. He still can have access to the channel, and he can still hear the picks and everything else, which I'm sure everybody wants my picks, but he can't. I'm not going to let him pick on you or Bobby or any of our normal Nick. You're not going to come here and go at Bobby, and I'm just going to sit there and listen to it. It's distracting. It's painful to Bobby. He shouldn't have to hear that shit. And the guy doesn't know. I believe it's Bobby. You believe it's Bobby. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Barry Bonds. I don't know, but we assume it's Bobby, and that's it. So I don't want the negative. You can give me negative in here. That's why I say I got the balls to do a live chat, not a video. I do a live chat. So if you want to say something to me, go ahead and say it. You're going to say it here live so I can respond to it, not in chat, in comments. Anyway. Makes sense. Some people will holler if you go 9-1. Great call on that one loss, they'll say. You're welcome, Bobby. Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm picking 75%, and you want to pick on me for the 25% loser. That's where I get the other thing, as I talked yesterday, where I get a tip. Because I get an email and some guys say, you've made me $10,000 in the last 2 years with your picks, and here's $200 tip. I don't even know. He's not buying anything, right? I'll get it in college. There's no more college games. Here's a $200 tip. Thank you. You just made me a bunch of money. Now, I wish he would, and he's not like a buyer. He's just taking my picks here, and he's listening, and he's betting, and he's winning. And that's why I try to give good picks here, not the worst ones. I try to give good ones, but not the locks usually. Now I had no choice because I only had 2 games, and that was a lock. So it was obviously Cincinnati and the 9 or under was the lock. But I try to make it a little bit like, well, I like the Niners and 8.5 also, but the lock was always the under and always Cincinnati. But I don't want to give it away. Like I said, people are paying. I don't want to. Well, why should I pay if you're just going to give it? So that's why I tend not to go that route because I Like that game was 27 units, right? But a normal game might be 15 units. You have to change your unit bets depending on the strength of the game. The Super Bowl probably be 15 units. I don't need to make, it's not going to be a lock, but I think it'll probably be now Kansas City in the over. Just like last year, it was Cincinnati in the over, and I won it. So that's basically where I'm headed with that. So I'm trying to, I'm glad the guy made $4,000 or $5,000 watching my picks, but I don't even know he's out there, and I don't even know he's listening. I'll get an email. Thank you. You just made me $10,000 or whatever, and I don't even know. He doesn't come on. It's not like Bobby or you, and Nick. I know is a customer, but I don't know what the fuck. I never heard of the guy. Like, why don't you come on? I mean, because I want you to ask questions, but I want my customers more so. Who do I like here? That's why sometimes I don't give an answer when they say, who do you like? I'm like, you're not buying my picks. You're just out for this is again my trait, my personality. You're just trying to scam me. You just want my pick. You're not going to be a customer. And now you'll ask me, who do I like here? Well, go buy the package. If you can't figure out from what I'm telling you about the pick, like one guy last week, who do you like? And I said, well, I like Frisco 20-17, which is under, and 31-20 Cincinnati, which is take Cincinnati. But if you can't figure that out, I'm not going to just give it to you. But I don't want to, again, I'm trying to help you, but really I'm trying to sell my picks as good as they are. Phil, he tried to pick on Bobby because he walks around with his batter's helmet on, but it's not because he's special needs. It's just a great time in his life. Yeah, I get, a lot of people, they're just weird and they, get a kick out of like heckling a comedian. He's there to tell jokes. Why are you heckling him? I might put negative comments on some of these idiots giving us bad advice on gold and silver, but that's in their comment section. If they're stupid enough to have comments, I will put a negative comment, and I've shown you those where, dude, you're misleading my people into believing that gold and silver are going down by your heading, but you're talking physical gold and silver. You're talking paper, not physical. Why don't you put paper gold and silver to go down, not physical gold and silver? And where are you going with that? What is the point of your video? Okay, you think the derivative gold and silver are going down. What's the point? Are you doing it so people don't buy gold and silver? So you're doing it on your part of your work for JP Morgan? Is that what you're doing? Oh, the dollar will never crash. The dollar's gold. Yeah, you're inflating the hell out of it. It's going to be out, and 55 countries are off the dollar now, and they're buying, they have other dollars, or they're buying the yen or the ruble, or they're just buying gold and silver. That's the point. So why do you keep saying the US dollar is okay when it's clearly not okay? It's totally fucked. And they'll just keep telling you, and they keep lying to you, and I don't like it. That's why I make a comment on theirs, is stop misleading. I don't mislead. I tell you what's up, and I back it up. But that's what we're looking at. So we're down to the end. Gold and silver, just keep buying it as much as you can. You're just going to make a fortune. Watch out for stocks. They're about to get hit, and they're about to go down. And then people are going to people stupid enough to be on margin, get what they deserve. So margins like, I only have 2,000, but I'll buy 20,000 worth of stock on margin. My credit's good. And they give them that. And then, okay, we need your 20 grand, and the guy can't pay it. Never go on margin. You bet what you have. You're at the casino and you got $500. That's what you're betting. You got $5,000. That's what you're betting. You're not betting 20 if you don't have it. And that's really the problem. That's going to kill you. So you don't do margin. But that's what happens is as people are losing, they sell their stocks because they need money. And that's because they're not smart enough to be in gold and silver. They don't have anything to sell. And when the US dollar loses its value, now what are they going to do? So Anyway, we talked that to death, but I have to because I got to make sure that everybody, not just you guys, understands that you better buy gold and silver. If you stay in the dollar, you're fucked. And I'm going to do all I can so you're not fucked, but I can only do so much. Bobby, did you hear about the Georgia quarterback Bennett getting arrested? I didn't hear that. I heard the San Francisco guy got arrested. What happened to Bennett? Why did he get arrested? Well, come on, Bobby, don't teach us. No, I didn't hear about it. That must have just happened while I'm doing my show. But what really happened? Like I said, the Niner guy got arrested for something. Didn't really read it. I didn't really care. They're out of the playoffs. I can't bet them, so forget it. But that's kind of what's going on. But I don't like this whole license thing. They said he was drunk in public and banging indoors and something. Well, I don't know. That seems. So once he says he's a Georgia quarterback, how long do you think he's going to be in jail, or like you don't think he's going to get off in 2 seconds? So that's privilege there, but so what is that? A misdemeanor and pay $20, and for him it's community service because you're the quarterback of Georgia and you won us a national title. You're a good old boy, so you can do whatever you want. Basically. See, in Europe, that wouldn't happen. Everybody's drunk there. They're all walking around drunk, and nobody cares. In Russia, nobody cares for sure. That's the beauty. That's the only good thing about Russia. Nobody cares. You can do whatever you want there. And, just don't kill a Russian government employee or something like that. Then the KGB or FSB would have a problem with you. You ever watch the movie Hitman with Timothy Oliphant? Great movie. Takes place in St. Petersburg and then a few other places in Russia. And I watched it a lot. And he's really plays the part really well. Really good. It was a perfect pick for the guy who played it. He's very that. Unless they suspend him the first game or something. And who's Ivan Drago? He wasn't the hitman. The hitman is Timothy Oliphant. But he's not there anymore. He's graduated. He's in the draft of Georgia quarterback, so nobody cares. That's probably why he did it. He's out celebrating. But no, he's going to be drafted. They already brought in another portal quarterback. It's so stupid now. They're just making it so hard on us to pick. Look at Oregon. They had Bo Nix this year. Yeah, it took us. They lose 49-3 to Georgia, and you're like, okay, they suck. And then they beat the BYU, killed us. And so that we were misled. And then we started figuring out Oregon, we should bet. And then Oregon, then he hurts his ankle, which we don't know about till fucking 5 minutes before the game. And we've already bet the game over. So we're fucked in that one. But that's what's going on there. I'm a bit tired. So I said I had a mouse in the house. So it's about 11:30, and I see something move, and it's a mouse running by my TV in the living room in here, runs into the bedroom, and then I kind of corner him, and I put a towel down because I don't know, and it's dark. I don't have a ceiling light in the fucking bedroom. It's unbelievable. I don't understand why builders build houses or apartments with bedrooms and no lights in the ceiling. So you basically need lamps. So anyway, so then I hear some scratching. So I can't go to sleep. I go to a hotel and I'm exhausted. I'm ready to fall asleep. But so I called management and then they come in today and we can't find the mouse. I mean, there is no sign of him. And they keep saying he could have easily squeezed through anything. They're very like Mr. Fantastic. They can get real small. and go the way their bone structure is. So he snuck out, and I'm like, okay, well, as long as he's not in here, it scared me. What scared me most is hearing the scratching. I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? I think it's just cold. He wasn't in the kitchen. It was just it's fucking like 0 outside. So that's all it was. Ivan Drago was Rocky's opponent in Rocky Four. What does that have to do with the Hitman? I could see if you said what the Detroit guy, somebody there, Brett the Hitman Hart, or who was the boxer from Detroit? Not Ray Leonard, the other guy. But anyway, I know who Ivan Drago is, but he's not the Hitman. You went to a hotel over a mouse. This is kind of soft, Professor. I got to be honest. I was a little freaked out by hearing these scratching sounds, and I was really tired. So I knew this hotel when I moved up from Alabama to stay at, so I just went to there. No big deal. I wanted to get a good night's sleep, but it was so late I didn't. But I don't know. I don't have experience with animals. What if I saw a snake? Would I go to sleep if there's a fucking rattlesnake in the house? So just that type of thing. You should put some traps down, Professor. They're coming out next week and they're going to spray it. But I think he was a one-timer. He came in not for food. He came in, I think, through the front door or somewhere through the closet he squeezed through at 11:30. I've never had a mouse in here, and he's not like in the kitchen or here, or maybe I was eating my General Chow and I dropped a piece and I picked it up, but maybe there was crumbs, but I didn't. He didn't even go there for food. I think he just came in to get out of the cold. And one thing I did, you know how there's the tub and tile cleaner, whatever it's called. So I got him cornered because my bed's against one wall, so he can't go that way. And then I put towels down. So I basically have him trapped at the foot of my bed where the wall is. So I take the basin tile tub cleaner and I start spraying him with it. So I was expecting to see him dead this morning, but he wasn't even there. So he probably passed out. And that's what I heard, scratching to get out. You should. So I don't have traps, but I had maintenance come out. We couldn't find him. He's going to bring me some poison or whatever, and then they're going to spray it next week. So it'll be all right. It's not like there's a lot. And he says, we don't have any calls on mice. It must have been a one-off. So I'm like, and I don't see any more. It's not like there's 100 mice coming around here. So let's just say it's one, and then there's really no traps. Knowing me, I'll step in it and I'll hurt my foot. Phil, get some glue boards. You should be fine. Well, I don't have them. I don't know if he's still. We couldn't find him. We went through all the rooms. We picked up the bed. We can't find the mouse. We assume he left. So I've had one mouse in almost a year here, and he's smelling like tub and tile cleaner. So he's going to tell his friends, don't go in that house. But we'll see how it goes. Living in New York so many years, I became accustomed to mouses. I just don't like pigeons. Those were the days when Inwood trapped 3 mice on one trap. Didn't they pay you for the Mets? Didn't you get a nice apartment to live in? Where were you, in the Bronx, or one of these places, Bobby? I'd have figured you'd be in a nice one of these $40 million homes with Tom Brady or Derek Jeter. Why didn't you bunk with Derek Jeter? I grew up in the Bronx. Oh, so when you were a kid, okay. Well, what did you go to Texas A&M? Is that or LSU to play ball? Bobby's dealt with giant New York rats. You have to fist fight them just to get into the kitchen. Yeah, but that's when you're on the street. But in the house, I don't. Who knows what riffraff is leading. And now it's so bad that you can't even have you don't have to worry about rats. You got to worry about the people in the street killing you and drugging you and everything. New York and LA, man, it's crazy. You let the communists take over and they just shred it to death. They're killing. What was I reading? Something about California. They wanted to do. They're fucking up something. I can't remember. I'm too tired. They passed some law. Or they want to pass this law on something in sports that'll really kill it, but I can't remember what it was. I'll have to reread it. There were rats across the street from the old Shea Stadium where all those mechanic shops were. Now with Citi Field, there's a lot more clean and corporate now. See how I did that, Phil? MIRE is really more. Although it's cleaner, it can't match the passion of the true old Shea Stadium. New York and LA did a great job being a cool place lots of people wanted to be, to now a laughingstock we all chuckle if you still live in those hellholes. Yeah, my friend Carmen wants to go to LA. I'm not going there. There's all fucking you got all the homeless people and they're peeing on everybody and they're stealing and you're not safe there. So I don't know. It's amazing the Europeans. Oh, let's go to LA and New York. I'm like, I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to go to LA. Let's go to. So I took her to Vegas a couple years ago. We went 4th of July. Excellent translation. Thank you, Phil. Well, you start learning the Bobby talk. He's got his own little language. I think that's code for us. I don't know what we're actually going to call gold and silver, but it won't be GOLD. It'll be Bobby talk. Probably like GLUD or something will be gold. But we'll know it's gold the way in Bobby world. So that's all we care about. Anyway, so I don't remember what California did. They passed some law. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. See, it pops in and out. They want to make minimum wage at McDonald's, and they want to make minimum wage in California $22 an hour. And all the McDonald's are screaming, going, we can't be in business. We can't afford to pay our employees $22 an hour. This is what happens when government gets involved. This is when it's not free market, laissez-faire. This is not laissez-faire. This is the other way. And this is the problem. Why does government think they should get 22 an hour? The company dictates that, not the government. Why is the government involved in it? Period. So what happens is as we talked, right? I can make $5 for my McDonald's. I got to sell them for $3. Now you're pushing up my $15 or $10 for the employee to $22. Now when I lose my markup, I can't compete. My market's $5. It's going to cost me $6 to make the hamburger because now I got to pay $7 to $10 more an hour for my workers. So that means what tends to happen is you hire, let's say you have 5 people to work the shift at $15 an hour. Now it goes to $22. Now you end up with 3 people to the shift because your scale of your costs goes way. You can only hire 3 people, not 5. Because it's costing you $66 an hour. That is the problem. So if you just, pick an arbitrary number that makes no sense, this is the same as price fixing. So if you make the steak, $9.99 and you price fix it and say, this is what you can sell a steak for. When you start hearing that, we're gone. We're going to Portugal because that's the death knell of an economy. You have, because you won't be able to make profit. You won't get anybody to make it. So if you price fix my Canadian club, which I got to show Bobby every show, if I price fix and say you can only sell it for $20, or I have to pay the guys who work there $50 an hour, either way, I can't do it. So if you price fix this to $22 for a bottle, and it costs you $40 for the bottle, that's why you go out of business. Because again, you're in business if your costs are here and your market's here. Then I add my return, and then I say, okay, I can make it. My cost is here. I'm going to make 10, 15, 20%. That's fine because I can sell it here. But if the government comes in and says, well, you can't pay this guy $5 an hour, it's 20, all of a sudden I'm up here, and then I add my markup, and I'm over market. I'm the barbecue rib guy. Well, I got to sell the ribs for 30 because it costs me, but my market's 25. That's the problem. So that's why the McDonald's or these Burger Kings are going out of business, because they can't raise the burger. You can't start selling $15 hamburgers. That's the problem. So the government says, well, we want to pay the worker $22 because we want their votes. They should not be involved with setting a minimum wage. That should be clearly supply and demand and skill set. What is my skill worth? If it's worth, $50 an hour, that's what I get paid. If it's worth $100 an hour, that's what I get paid. Not the government can't say, okay, you're going to pay Howard $100 an hour. I'll never get hired. Nobody can afford it. Get out of it. Just let me make 50. I'm fine at 50 an hour. Don't start fucking around telling them they got to pay me 100. So here, who are you fucking over with this? You're fucking over the worker and you're fucking over the store. So you want to get a job at McDonald's, or you have your kids do it, or maybe something happened and you can't do a normal work. So you go work at McDonald's and you go, $15 an hour, that's fine. Then they come out at 22. It's not like I'm happy that I'm going to get the raise. I'm unhappy because I'm going to get fired because they can't afford to pay me $22 an hour and still compete with the market, right? So if I pay them 22, I got to have less people working in order to get the 22. And if I don't, I'm fucked. I can't keep the 6 people at 22 an hour. Then I'm over here and I'm over my market, and I got to lower my price somehow. And how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to have to let one of my $22 an hour people go. This is what the government misses. And the guy that gets hurt is the guy working there who was perfectly happy at 15 an hour, who now you raise it to 22, gets fired because I can't afford 5 people at 22. It's going to be 3 at 22. It's going to be my brother-in-law, my sister, whoever. And the regular workers are fucked because they can't, they were happy at 15, keep everything the same. So again, it's California thinking they're smarter than everybody else. This is what the socialist communists do, is say, you know what, we got to, everybody, why are they doing 22 an hour, not $100 an hour? This is my bitch. If you're going to do price controls and minimum wage, which is a wage control, then why don't you make it, $150 an hour to have your workers at McDonald's as opposed to the 15. I mean, why stop at 22? So, I mean, that's the problem. That's when government gets involved. You then fuck the economy up, and it's a domino. Then all these people are laid off of McDonald's. I might have to close the store, and then what did you solve? So you made it worse for everybody. These people are now laid off if the store doesn't close because they can't compete in the market. That's why the only person that can set the price is the company. And if you're good, then maybe you can get 22 an hour. And if you're not good, then maybe you get the 15 an hour. I mean, they've got it marked up, and they want to keep their good people. It's like anything. They want to keep the good people so they can make more money. So, if I fire Howard, I don't make the money I need. If I pay Howard 22 an hour, that he's really agreed on 15, it's not coming from him. I'm fucked because then I can't possibly meet the market, and then I got to lay off people because I can't afford to pay them 22 an hour. That's the problem that's missing. They can't afford to pay it. Once they can afford it, it's a different story. Running out of gas. Anyway, so that was interesting news, and that was a very good example of what you can't do. It's the market. If Phil or Bobby want to hire somebody, they got to make it worth it where they can make money, because Phil and Bobby are the ones that are in the business. So they're in the business to make money. They're not in the business to lose money. So they've got it figured out. They got it. It's 40, 50 grand. That's what I'm going to make. Oh, I'm getting tired. And that's what it is. But the market's based on the owner of the company setting the price, going, okay, based on this is what I can afford in wages. And it's no place for the government to set wage controls on people and saying they got to get 22 an hour. Well, first of all, you've inflated the money that even if you paid them 22 an hour, it'd be like getting 15 an hour. I mean, basically that's what you've done. You've moved 22 down to 15 regardless. So just leave it at 15 and let them work. So you're causing unemployment and you're causing businesses to go under because they can't run with 3 people when they need 7, but they can only afford the 15 an hour. And that's how a business is successful. I got to figure out what's my market and what's my cost. And the government says, no, we're going to raise your cost. You're fucked. You can't. That's taking money out of my pocket. I'm the owner. I'm paying the tax. So if you're trading me down to 22, I'm fucked from 15. Anyway, I need a nap. Well, I miss Bobby's. New York crime rate has been going back up too after they had cleared it up. You know why? Because they're not prosecuting. So if somebody kills somebody in New York and they're a liberal or a communist or socialist, whatever you want to call it, they don't prosecute them. So if I don't have a deterrent to not commit a crime, I might as well commit a crime. Why should I work? I'm gonna hold you up and take your money, and they're not going to prosecute me. And that's the problem, right? New York crime rate has been going back up after the okay, and LA stacked with tents of the homeless living in them. Well, that's right. That's the other problem, and they're not serving as good needs for the people living there. So you bought $1 million house, and now you got idiots pissing in tents in your front yard, and that kills your value. You know who the fuck's gonna want it? Sorry about that. Phil, I guess we know where fast food will be testing all their AI robot stores first. Great job, Kelly. Well, we don't even know about that because the AI robots, you need IT people to run them. And how expensive are they? I mean, they're going to be what, $100,000 and you need 5 of them. That's going to be a big cost. So I don't know that you can just go AI robot. That's why you go to the people at 15 an hour and you can talk to them. The AIs are going to be a different thing. Professor, how about you taxes when we buy metals? There's no tax on metals. It's not an investment. So it's like if you bought money. So there's no tax on this for holding it. Now they can try to tax us when we sell it, but how do they know what we paid for it? Do we have to prove what I bought it for? I don't know what I bought it for. I'm not gonna, I don't know what I paid for this. It's probably 1850. I don't know, but I'm not paying tax on it. In my mind, that's never going to happen because they're not going to know I sold it and or that I own it. So I'm keeping that in the dark. Bobby, buying means nothing for our taxes, correct? But how about once we sell? Do you like that, Phil? His I is an O. Once we sell, how would gains be taxed, et cetera, or will they? Well, that's what I'm saying. So if I sell this for 50,000 and I get a 1099 for 50,000, I'm going to say it cost me 50,000. I would not be so forthcoming that it cost me 200 or 2,000 or anything. And if I have to go to Switzerland to buy it or have to sell it black market, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to pay I'm not going to pay a $49,000 tax on it. That's not going to happen. And they don't know what I bought it for. I can say, I paid 30,000 for it. So when we sell it, they're going to try to treat it like a stock or like that. But to me, it's not. This is money. This is not an investment. This isn't a stock. So I pay it. Mice have been known to climb into ear holes while people sleep. I'm sure you'll be fine, Professor. Yeah, thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. Right now, I haven't seen them. That makes sense. So as long as the buyer hands us cash, we're good to go. That's what you want to buy it. And or you say it cost me 45 grand. I don't know how they prove it because we're not buying, like when you buy a stock, let's say you're Merrill Lynch and it shows the record. I paid $28 for 1,000 shares and you sell it for $35 for 1,000 shares. That you have the record, 28.35, but there is no record what you bought it for and or even really maybe there's a record of what you sold it for, but you could just say, I broke even on it. How do they prove that you didn't? How do they prove you paid 2,000 for it? They can't. I mean, most of my shit I pay cash, so there's no receipt at all. So I can say whatever I want. How to me, they should be the ones that have to prove that I didn't buy it for 50 grand if I say I did. So that's my point. His eyes are O's, making mental notes of that. Yeah. Well, we got to figure out, it's like a cryptid, what are those things called? The imitation game where you had to figure out the Rubik's Cube. But that's the cipher. That's what they're called. Yeah. So Bobby's doing ciphers. We got to figure out his cipher. I love it. But no, you shouldn't. Like when I sell this, I have no intention of paying a capital gains tax on this. That's not going to happen. And this is not an investment. I'm buying money. So because I choose to buy money, so let's say this is now worth $500 a bottle, and I probably bought it for $10 in 1995 when I worked at Hiram Walker. So it's 12 years plus 30. So this is 42-year-old whiskey. I should put like a 4 in front of it, and I sell it for 150. Is this capital gains? This isn't an investment. I didn't buy it as an investment. I bought an asset and it's worth more and I sold it. Why am I paying tax on it? Why? I'd say this is what I don't get with the taxing system. You win the lottery, you win $1 million. Why do you have to give $500,000 to the IRS? Why are they partners? But if you lose, they're not partners. They're only partners when you win. Then it's income. But when you lose, Now, if you bet football and you win, and they want to tax, they don't tax you on football. So if you're in Vegas and you make a bet, and you bet $500, or like me when I won my 5,000 on all those games, and in 90 and about 5 years ago, I didn't pay tax. I didn't report it as income. I didn't report it as capital gains tax because it wasn't capital gains. I just took the money and they didn't give me a 1099 and off I went. So I didn't do that. Now, had they, then you get the slips where they lost. So it's kind of weird. You can say you lost bets to offset the gain up to zero, but you can't say you lost money betting as a reduction in your taxes. So in other words, if I lose 10 grand, I can't go on my taxes and take 10 grand away saying, well, I lost. But if I win 10 grand, I have to show the 10 grand. Then if I find 10 grand worth of losing tickets, I can say, well, I won 10 grand, but I lost 10 grand, so I break even, which is what people do when they need that. If they have to pay the tax, then the losings will offset the winnings to zero, which is crazy. So why, if I win the lottery, I got to pay you 50%, but if I lose the lottery, I can't deduct it. The whole system's so fucked up. It's unbelievable. So just be careful with that. But as far as I'm concerned, Bobby, we bought money, and if somebody wants to pay us more, it's not an investment. We didn't do this as an investment. We're getting out of dollars into gold. So we bought money. If it happens to be worth more, it's worth more. So what? And that's the point of it. Anyway, so a lot of interesting stuff. I am bushed. I think I got to bed at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and got up at 8 o'clock for breakfast, which I hate. That's the problem I hate at these hotels. They serve breakfast till 9. I don't want to eat breakfast till noon. But then you're kind of like, well, I paid for it. I'm going to eat it. And I think I had a bagel and eggs and bacon or whatever, little comfort in. So, I don't know. I wasn't going to wake up for it, but I wanted to get home for the mouse. And so that was the whole thing. But tonight I probably won't. Hopefully I don't get a mouse in here, but now I kind of know what I'm going to do. Is I have a garbage can in the kitchen where I put my little Target bags that I fill with the garbage into the can. I'm just going to take the can and I'm going to try to attack the mouse with it and get them into the garbage can and then throw it out in the dumpster. So that's my plan, is to take some box to get him, to trap him. Hopefully I won't see him. I haven't seen him all day. I keep looking. I don't know where he came. Probably either came from the closet or the front door, but he didn't come in the kitchen or anywhere else. So I don't know, but I'm so tired. Yeah, he could have been there for a week and I would have never known. If I didn't see him at the TV, I would have went into bed and I would have went to sleep and I would have had a pet mouse under my bed or something. So I probably would have heard the scratching. But anyway, hopefully I don't get that anymore. Such a distraction. Bobby, were there any people there at the breakfast you talked to and told them about gold and silver? I think there was. No, I think there was one guy who worked there. I talked to him about the mouse. There's a few other people actually there, but I didn't talk to him about anything. Phil, yeah, I also hate those terrible breakfast hours at hotels. Well, even when I go with Jenna and we go, we're in Lisbon. I mean, the buffet was 6 to 10, which you paid for like 20 euros. And what are you going to do? And then you don't really want to go out. In other words, so you eat it because then you don't go out for lunch and get a cab and drive to a hotel or a restaurant. You eat it. You're at your place, so go eat it, and then you go swim or whatever you're planning on doing for the day, or shopping or whatever. And then you're really just going out for dinner. So you're going out for one meal, and that's good. I remember we're in Lisbon and Jennifer doesn't pack a bikini, doesn't really pack a bathing suit. So we went to this mall about 15 minutes away in a cab looking for a bathing suit for her, which we couldn't find. They didn't have bathing suits in, what was it, November in Lisbon. And then I think she finally found one. She didn't like it, but she got it. So we went to the beach. And then I left my phone in the car because it fell out of my pocket. And I was all frantic going, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? I'm in Lisbon and I got all the numbers and all the WhatsApps. Like if you lose your phone, well, I guess you get a new phone, you get the WhatsApp numbers back, but it's scary. And then the guy, we go back to the hotel after a few hours, and the driver saw the phone in there and brought it back. And I gave the guy a $20 US tip for bringing back my phone. And I was very excited. And then we went to the beach and the next day, and it was nice. But yeah, I mean, but then later on, we're walking around the mall near the hotel, and we fumble on a store that had bikinis. So she's like, "Oh, here!" But it was it was 3 days later. We'd already went to the beach, but that's what it was. I mean, it was a nice mall we went to, but it was. She says, "You're so frantic with your phone." I go, "Well, how do you lose? You can't lose your phone." But it was the pass. I put it in, and it must have somehow kicked out, and so the next cab ride, I just had the phone in my hand, like fuck it. But it's weird when you're on vacation, like then you got to buy a new phone, which you can't use because it's not going to be U.S. and Europe and the U.S. are two different phone systems. So I would have been fucked the rest of the trip, and then when I got home, I would have had to buy a new phone. So fortunately, the driver, that's why you tip the drivers. Because I'd given him like a $5 to take us to the hotel or to the mall. I gave him an extra $5. So he was nice. And I gave him 20. Here's 20. I should have given him 100. Here's 20. Thank you very much. And so the phone was there. So because I thought I left it at breakfast. So I called the hotel. Did I leave it at breakfast? And they said no. Then I realized I left it in the cab. But thank God he was nice. So at one point, like in the U.S., I never would have got it back. He'd have taken it and sold it, phones, for the gold and the silver in it. Just funny. The mouse's name is Mac Jones. Bobby. Mac Jones. But anyway, so that's the problem on vacation when you're trying to eat the way I am, which is not eat till noon. You're totally fucked on vacation because the buffet is open till about 10. So you're down there at 10 o'clock eating, and then you're bringing shit up to the room. So you can kind of just have a little, and then like the fruit you bring up to the room. But, it was the same thing every day. The omelets, the bacon, some meats, and I think it was like a roll or some little cakes that you're like, okay, fine, I'll eat that. You don't want to, but you realize it's on vacation. What are you going to do? But that's the problem. So even here, like 9 o'clock, and I wasn't going to go to it. I said, well, I'll go home. I'll eat with the mice. Me and the mouse will eat breakfast. And fortunately, he's not. So I go to the guy, where the fuck is he? And they go, oh, he must have left. If they don't want food, or if you don't feed him, if you can't find food or water, he'll leave. That's what he's looking for. But I thought it was really cold last night. So I think he was just looking to get warm. Because it was like 0 outside. And I guess he's just a field mouse. So let him go back to the fields. Go back to your family in the fields. Leave the professor alone. I need my sleep. Anyway, I think that's about it. So www.teaserking.com. You want email me with some more fascinating trip news or mice news. I should be on tomorrow. What's today? Tuesday. That's about it. And I think I'm taking a nap. Then I'm going swimming. I got to eat. So I think I'll maybe make an omelet now or something. Yeah, well, it's when I start sleeping at this on the show, I'm like, I do that at work every once in a while. I'm nodding off, and you're just hoping nobody sees it. But you can't stay awake if you wanted to. I might take one myself. You're welcome, Phil. Yeah, well, it was a little bit later, but not too. I think I started at noon. Yeah, because it's 3 o'clock, 3 hours. All right, everybody, have a great day. Try to relax, get your naps in, keep the mice out, and off you go. All right, take care, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Boom.